Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey! So exciting. I'm not going to say good morning. That's kind of weird. Hello, everybody. You know, it was so weird. I got into the live stream to see how many of you were chatting. Murtech, you've already rated me. There you go. We got 100, 200. What? Darius, 100. Froggy, 100. Like, seriously, I said in the stream, you guys are just going to have to start 1099ing us because we're like part of your family payroll. How generous and kind of you. Welcome. But I hopped on and it says already there have been 23,000 views. I'm like, what? I don't know about that. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. How'd it go for you guys? Are you here? Are you all right? Did you survive? Brock, it's weird.
I'm a creature of habit.
We are.
My dog was all confused this morning what I was still doing home. So
I love that you guys are here. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the numbers. We'll see what goes on. And we're going to own this spot. And I'm willing to bank on us. I'm willing to bank on you. And I think what we have here is a winning combination. What a weekend of news. I mean, talk about a very unusual end of the year, beginning of the year. All of this rapid fire news, it's been pretty amazing. And I've been watching it. We're going to talk about all of it today. But before we get going, I want to talk to you guys quickly about the wellness company and specifically this product that they have. It's their teeth product, okay? And it's called Smile. And I like this for many reasons. One, I'm really weird about teeth. I'm very particular about my own and my son's. And I think really at the end of the day, it's one of those things that everybody sees on you right away. And so if you could have a product that doesn't use fluoride, it instead uses peptides, and it works for, is it coming in? What did I do? Is it the wrong input again?
Nothing.
And so it has, instead of fluoride, it uses peptides, and it protects your teeth from sensitivity, your gums from eroding and all of this stuff. And it sparkles and whitens your smile. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Did you know that more than 78% of people worldwide experience gum recession? And this develops later in life. Includes like 60% of us here in the United States over the age of 50. And you're like, ow, sensitivity, ouch, I don't like this. This product is really going to help you. Smile changes everything. It's the first ever fluoride-free peptide toothpaste designed to assist in the reversal of gum loss at the source. Peptides like BPC 157, GHKCU. That doesn't mean anything to you and me, but to the people at the wellness company, it means protecting your teeth so that you have the most dazzling smile forever. You can get it right now, 10% off and free shipping. Go to twc.health/Wendy. Use my name and you're going to get that 10% off and the free shipping. I think it's a great product and it's time to protect your smile. All right. This is fun. It's weird to start at a different time. Brock and I were talking about it over the weekend, trying to change our sleep patterns. It's going to be a little while. It's going to be a little while to figure out. It was particularly odd to be home when Joe left this morning and when the twins left for high school, and I was like,
Kate left before I did.
I know. And the dog is like, what?
Yeah, dog's all like, what are you people doing?
Murphy barely even looked at me. He was like, whatever. I want steak.
It must be nice.
I don't know what you want.
1%er dog thing again. And
oh, stop. Okay, so why don't we have a...
Is your light on?
Yeah.
Oh, your light's on?
Now I'm missing one over here. You want me to turn it on?
Yeah. Looks a little dark. Maybe it's just my screen.
I think over the age of 50, most of us don't like more illumination. I'd prefer to be in the dark.
Oh, it was my screen.
Oh, for the love of all that's holy.
Well,
Let's see how you guys are doing. What's up?
It's weird driving to work when it's light out.
You have sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Another $100? Lexus 350 for the new time? Gee whiz. Thank you. I love you guys.
I mean, we're already at 167.
And we only have 4,000 people watching. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
And if you're new, put in the comments so I can go back later. I have a lot of stuff going on today because there's a lot more than just this podcast. Put in the
Below
comment
the video
section,
box, not
if
on
you're
the
new.
live stream, but in the comments. Tell us where you're from and hang out for a while. I think
Yeah.
you're going to like us. New time period for us. We were 9 to noon and now noon to 3 starting today. So this is the beginning of it, you guys, and I love you. It's weird. My clock is odd today.
What do you mean?
Like it usually has the countdown until we start. I'm just not doing that.
Yeah, it will.
Mm.
There's some wrinkles.
Mm. Oh, I love you back. Thanks, Freebird. Good afternoon, guys. Hi, G.I. Jenny. What's up, Tiedman and Jacob Castro? What's going on? Chameleon. Hi, Dancing Machine. I love it. You guys like Donna Summer and Barbara Streisand this morning? Hi, Texas Kathy. What's going on, Demanda? Hi, Heather. Esky. Hi, good morning, Razor. Dee Dee Bev. Good morning.
Here we go.
I love you guys. Thanks for being here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America, and welcome to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. A delight as always to share what we provide here 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. It is common sense, conservative values. It is honest. It is the truth for you. And all of the stuff we share with you, if we think you might even have a doubt. We share all of our source information. So what can you do? You can go back and you can fact check us. And after a while, you're going to realize, holy cow, it's kind of refreshing. I don't have to worry that I'm being propagandized or lied to. WendyBellRadio.com is the easiest way to follow along. We are live video streamed all 3 hours, commercial breaks, and more. Gee whiz, if only there was anything to talk about today, right? We've got Maduro, we've got Tim Walz dropping out, we've got all sorts of stuff in between. Liberals losing their mind, and I love every moment of it. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know what? I am proud to freaking be an American today. I am proud that Donald Trump is my president. I am proud that Marco Rubio is the head statesman of this country. I am proud of the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. I am proud of Raising Cane, his whole operation. I am proud to stand here and to say to you, this is the moment that you and I have been waiting for. Is it possible that one guy being captured in the darkness of the pre-dawn hours in which not a single American life is lost, is it possible that that could truly be the turning point of this country, of what we've been through, of our own survival? Yes. Yes, it can. And I'm going to explain that on the show for you today. I want to start with a little personal story, okay? So Brock and I all weekend long were chattering back and forth. Can you believe what's going on? We're listening to the press conferences. We're paying attention to the liberals losing their minds. Democrats trying to say that this is a bad thing, that we would take out a dictator who lost elections credibly, who tortured people, murdered people, and poisoned our people. whose tentacles have corrupted the highest echelons of the American government system. As we're watching all of this last night, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sun setting, it's getting dark. It's cold in Pittsburgh where I live. And I look outside from the laundry room on the second floor and I see our driveway, which is pretty long, just covered in snow and ice. It's a mess. I know my husband's working. He's on call. He's a cardiologist. He's covering 2 hospitals. One hospital, he's got 26 patients. The other, he's got 24. Between the two, 50 patients. He's got a round on personally every day. And if an emergency comes in at the other hospital, he's got to stop what he's doing, race over to go do it, and then come back and finish what he did. I thought the one thing maybe I could do that would be beautiful, that he would appreciate, would be to get the flippin' snow and the ice off of the driveway. So I put on my snow boots, put on my cap and my coat. I go outside, I grab my favorite shovel with that super razor edge, and I start chipping away at it. I'm making progress, but it is a slog. Anybody who's been through winter, you know what I'm talking about. The minute you drive on a driveway that's got snow on it, it's terrible. It takes forever to get the stuff off, and that was my job yesterday. So I'm chiseling away. I'm huffing and puffing. I've got sweat dripping down my back. And I stop, and I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I take out my phone. Of course, if you don't have kids, you don't realize what slavery is like, right? So I text my kids group message. I'm like, you know what? I'm outside thinking Dad might appreciate it if we got rid of all the snow and the ice. I wouldn't mind anyone's help. Send. And I kept chiseling away. 5 minutes later, Jack walks out the door. Coat, gloves, hat, boots, grabs a shovel. 2 minutes after that comes Ryan, grabs one of the ice picks, one of those real sharp scraper guys. 5 minutes after that, here come the twins, Bobby and Christopher. Michael must have been in the shower. And for the next 30 minutes, without saying a word, 4 of my 5 boys and I moved around that driveway, and they helped me accomplish in no time what would have taken me all night to get done. Now, here's what I like to do when I see my kids out in the yard busy helping me, which doesn't happen commonly. I had to ask for it. People in the neighborhood start looking out their windows. The young couple up the street trying to get their baby carriage across all of the snow on the sidewalk walked very slowly, watching my boys, moving quietly, not saying a single word, working in concert. And just as quickly as they had come out to help me, the job was done. Each one individually peeled off, put his things back into the garage, went inside, tapped off the shoes, and went back to doing whatever they were doing. 30 minutes. All I had to do was ask for help. Now, I'm not that good at asking for help. I don't believe that I necessarily have to project it to my family that I'm outside cutting the grass. And if you're inside watching television, maybe you want to look out the window and look at what mom is doing and get your butt out there. But I asked. I got it. And it was done. The people of Venezuela are no different than the people of Russia or Ukraine or Iran or Afghanistan. They want to live a certain way that they have not been able to live. And they have cried for help. They have screamed for help. And they haven't gotten it. Yesterday or over the weekend, you and I watched something pretty remarkable. We watched as a military that up until about a year ago had been more worried about pronouns and rainbows and feelings than they were about lethal kinetic strikes. We now have a force, ladies and gentlemen, that is the envy of the world. And Donald Trump, in less than 3 hours, took out a dictator and brought him to justice, or at least to America, where he will face it. He didn't go in there and bomb a presidential palace per se and take out an entire regime. He didn't go in there and tell the people who were serving, but obviously in a dictator fashion, you're done. He said, you know what? We have a fugitive from the law. We need to bring you in for justice. And by the way, we're going to help your government. The vice president under Maduro, we're going to help her see if she can succeed until there are fair and free elections. We will then help you rebuild your infrastructure. We will allow the Venezuelan people to come back to their beautiful homeland where they have fled over the last 25 years because it is not safe and there is no way to survive. There is no food. There is no medicine. There is no freedom. And we have been screaming for help. And it hasn't been answered, or calls haven't been answered. Saturday morning, they were. Pay close attention to the people out there who want to tell you this is now a constitutional crisis. They didn't talk to the Senate. He didn't talk to us at all. There was no oversight. Well, no freaking kidding. Because our American system of government has been co-opted. And the tentacles of Nicolas Maduro and others are intertwined at the highest echelons of Capitol Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Pay close attention. And you go up a few feet, or up to where I like to sit at 30,000 and look down and see what's going on. The paid protesters pretending like they know what the hell is going on. And the tears of freedom and liberty and joy spreading across Venezuela. What comes next is going to be the big question, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to know what that thing is? And this is to the detriment and to the fear, the fright, the panic of every deep state scumbag out there. It is the unwinding of the same kind of fraud and corruption and abuse, of election interference and abuse that we have ever seen in this country. 2020 is about to come out. And that, my friends, is something the left cannot let happen. The biggest challenge now, in an odd way, it seems Maduro is the only illegal alien Democrats don't want to come to America, right? Is keeping Nicolas Maduro and his wife alive, because Trump is a deal maker after all. And he will sit down with the Venezuelan dictator and say to him, you know what? I think we've got lots to discuss. What is it exactly that you would like? Because I'm going to tell you what I want to know. I want it all. The drugs, the trafficking, the oil, and the election fraud. Who knew? How did they know? And tell me about the seditious six, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you find it odd that the U.S. military was putting this operation in the final phases back in November as the seditious six, the former and, well, as we well know, military members who took to Twitter to encourage the active military to defy orders given by President Trump? Treasonous? Damn freaking straight. No prisoners. Look, I learned yesterday. I just needed to ask my boys for help. Saturday, Venezuelans finally got it. Quick time out. When we're back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Rasmussen polling shows us this was a very popular maneuver among some when polled. Who not? Next. Yeah, so I'm just going to have to figure out my own clock, huh?
Well,
It doesn't count down to the end of the segment.
no,
Something to add to our list for sure to talk about. All right, before we get moving on too much, let me tell you quickly about Healthy Cell. You know, when I was talking to a friend about this over the weekend, a friend who feels like she needs to get a prescription for her anxiety. And I was like, have you ever heard of Healthy Cell? And she's like, what do you, and I don't know what that is. And I was like, well, do you realize that taking prescription medication for stress and anxiety and whatnot, I mean, it can certainly have a benefit, but if you could do something with botanicals and nutraceuticals and things that naturally occur out there in the environment that are put together in a gel pack where you like slurp them in once a day and you get everything you need to stay calm. Would you be interested in trying that before you took a prescription? Yes, she said. Well, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. It's called Calm Mood. It's one of many varieties that healthycell.com/Wendy makes. Also, let me see. This is the one that I have been taking specifically. Bone Strength. Look at that. And each of these packets in a microgel format, 165% more absorbed into the body than if you were to take a pill. Healthycell.com/Wendy. This is a very innovative way. They're delicious. They get into your system. I use Focus and Recall every day. You know this. A wonderful alternative to the prescription pad. Before you go there, go to healthycell.com/Wendy. Your first order, I believe you get 20% off. So good. So good. All right, what's going on? Brock, how you doing? You're monitoring stuff?
Yeah.
What is it that you have to pay attention to that it might be agitating on your behalf?
So just making sure all the liners fire for the radio stations and making sure that everything's lined up, because changing the log means changing all the times and the codes that we send to the satellite. There's little things like the clock that I'm going to have to probably change here on site. They can't be done remotely.
Doing this all on a live show, there's really no dry run. We're not like the U.S. military where we could rehearse it and try it again and again. So it's just sort of like you go with it and you're like, fingers crossed. We got 6,000 watching here. We got 400 on X. Welcome. I love that you're here. Did you guys hear what Nick Shirley said about X? He said X is the platform for doers. He's like, I'm not YouTube, not any of these other platforms. X is that platform for people who really want to connect with others who want to make a difference.
Right away.
Right away. I thought that was great. So if that's where you're watching, thank you. Share with somebody in your life. We appreciate you. Oh, Tex is here. What's going on? I love it. The binder is revealed. Well, we'll see, right? Doesn't everybody feel that way? I do. Everything that they rated Mar-a-Lago for is coming out. Yeah. I'm ready. Bring it. I'm so proud of move, one strike, one pre-dawn raid, one coordinated effort in Caracas. This president was able to do so much to cause a seismic shakeout there. Geopolitically, you've got Russia, you've got China, you have Iran, all impacted by what's going on. You have Trump flexing his muscles and saying to Putin, pal, y'all better figure out what's going on in Ukraine because I'm done with the people dying. Get it to end now. Putin's trying to pretend like he's going to flex back. We'll see what ends up happening, right? China realizes its desire to maintain its foothold or any kind of presence in the Western Hemisphere. You're not welcome. Get out, right? And then you have the president saying to the absolute disgust of the Democrats who want to paint him as a king, as a dictator, right? No kings, no kings. Right. This president gets up and says, we want to help Venezuela rebuild. We're going to do exactly for Venezuela what we freaking offered Zelensky in Ukraine. We're going to help you rebuild your oil infrastructure. We're going to get you guys pumping. We're going to drill freaking baby drill, and you are going to reap the benefits. It's not going to cost us. Whatever we spend to fix what you've got going on, we'll recoup with our own, assets coming out of your ground. But the goal is for you guys to be up and running, for you to be an independent, free Venezuela. And the Democrats were like, oh my gosh, this is the worst case scenario. Well, let's remember some Rasmussen polling, which shows the majority of what voters were suspecting that Venezuela helped rig U.S. elections. Well, of course, it's those who are paying attention, and those would be lion's share Republicans. 58% of Republicans suspect Venezuela helped rig U.S. elections. Look, whatever this president uncovers, whatever he knows that's in that binder that he declassified before he left office in 2021, right? Why they raided Mar-a-Lago and rifled through Melania's underwear. Where is it? Well, we have it. And it's all coming out with corroboration, I would imagine, from Nicolas Maduro. He's going to say, hey, a couple of my sons are in prison, people in my party, people in my cabinet, they're under indictment. What can you do, Donald Trump? Deal maker? I will sing like a canary. And now we have to just make sure that the white sail isn't being offered in Nicolas Maduro's jail cell or wherever he's being held so he can't Jeffrey Epstein himself, the way we know can often happen. I want you to hear this woman, Venezuelan woman, calling it out. She's like, look, white liberals are the problem. I've heard it before. I don't know where. Let's listen in.
States military into Venezuela last night to kidnap Maduro and his wife to somewhere. We don't know where they are. We don't know if they're alive. And now Trump has announced that the U.S. is going to temporarily take over control and operations of Venezuela.
White liberals in America are complaining about Nicolas Maduro, while Venezolanos in Venezuela are out celebrating that their dictator is gone. If this doesn't tell you how evil and disturbed white liberals in America are, I don't know what will. They're willing to allow an entire country to be exploited as long as it fits their political agenda and goes against Trump. Think about that. Nicolas Maduro publicly rigged elections, killed his own people, had actual re-education camps, made anybody who opposed him disappear. And this is who they're defending now. Believe me, I was worried when Trump said that the United States would oversee the transition of power in Venezuela. But here's a reality that no one wants to admit. Maduro didn't just destroy Venezuela. He destroyed the entire system of checks and balances. He replaced the courts, institutions, everything with loyalists. This isn't one bad leader. This is a government gutted from within. Because of this, if we don't step in, the people who committed the corruption will be the exact same ones choosing who investigates it. The power is not going to return to the people. It'll just rotate to another loyalist from the same corrupt machine. But when these people say stay out, they're not saying stay out because it benefits Venezuelans or they care about what happens to them, because clearly Maduro was the worst thing that could have happened to him. Maduro was getting rich while starving his own people. A credible transition isn't about America controlling Venezuela. It's about preventing a total collapse. It's about less violence, fewer mass migrations, and giving Venezolanos a chance to stay in the country they love instead of being forced to flee from it. Scrutinize everything. Go ahead. Absolutely. I encourage it. But pretending that walking away fixes anything, that's how failed states stay failed states.
100%, 58% of Republicans suspect Venezuela helped rig U.S. elections. The latest Rasmussen Reports national telephone and online survey finds that 38% of likely U.S. voters consider it likely that Venezuela actually was involved in rigging elections in the United States, including 15% who think it's very likely. Now, when you dig into that, you're like, well, that's not that big of a deal. 38%, 15%. You guys, this is giant. Remember, we're dismantling the big lie. January 6th was a setup. It was a smokescreen. It was a cover to take all of the oxygen away from everything that was so freaking unbelievable about 2020. Going to bed, and Donald Trump was up, waking up after finding out that Donald Trump somehow lost a 700,000 vote lead in the state of Pennsylvania and ended up losing by less than 81,000 votes. Are you freaking kidding me? That 38% of Americans, including 58% of Republicans, see exactly what is going on, is the ultimate goal. And then Donald Trump last night put out, retruthed something, and it was a 5-minute video about election fraud and Dominion voting systems. It's almost like he's telling you exactly where this is going, and Democrats can't stop it. When we come back, let's listen in. The sound of freedom from Venezuela next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Only numbers you have to worry about is 2850 and 5850. That's it. Fine.
All right. Super weird. So on my side, I look up at the clock here, so I make sure I don't miss a break. Every now and again, very unusually, one of us is not paying attention as closely as we should. And so we save the other person, right? So I'm very aware of what time I'm supposed to be out. And normally the bottom of my clock like ticks me down to that hard out where we're dead air, where there is a commercial break now. That's not working. And so I'm trying to look at how much time some of these clips are and look at the time I have left and quickly do math while I'm talking to you. And it's just not pretty. So that's what I'm freaking out about.
You don't worry about anything Aaron. 2850, and I will make sure 5850 I am on it.
I will say this to you guys, that lean, did you know that, okay, I grew up in Southern California. My parents were always dieting. My mom she was kind of a blonde bombshell, beautiful woman, and was very particular about what she ate and what her body looked like. And so they were always on the Scarsdale diet. I remember my parents were always on the freaking Scarsdale diet. My sister and I would be like, it was a flavorless, dry toast, grapefruit, celery, kind of like starvation nightmare. At least that was my memory as a little girl. I'm sure it wasn't, but that's what it felt like. But they would go in and out of this stuff, right? This weight cycling back and forth where you're like, all right, hot and heavy, I'm gonna lose weight, and then you put it all back on, and they're like, I'm gonna hot and heavy, lose weight, and then you put it all back on. It's super bad for you. It's bad for your heart. And there have been studies that have shown people who weight cycle are more susceptible to heart problems and stroke risk. All right, so I'm all about anything I can take that's going to help me. This is the Brickhouse Nutrition product, Lean. Most people need help losing weight, and there is a great way to do that, and that's not by taking shots per se, but with this meal supplement, with this dietary supplement, you take it and it kills your cravings, helps you maintain healthy blood sugar, and it helps convert fat into energy. Like, okay, can it take the zhuzh off of my backside? Can't promise you the stars, but this is a great beginning into significant weight loss. And they're saying this isn't just for 2 or 3 pounds here and there. This is like, if you want serious weight loss help, this is your product. TakeLean.com / well, no / just use my name. Wendy, at checkout, you're going to save. I'm going to 20% off. It's pretty good. TakeLean.com, use my name, Wendy, 20% off. I love them. They're wonderful people, and their products I trust. All right, what's going on out there, guys? It is weird. I think it's going to be weird for a little while. Don't you think? It's just going to be a little bit different. Holy smokes, we just got $50 as well. What is up? Froggy, another 50. I give to you because I believe what you preach is truth. And I don't always get to church, but when I listen to you, it restores my soul that others believe as I do. Thank you. Wow.
Another $100.
Oh my gosh. Sunny JJ05. Best of health and happiness. Wow. I love you guys. Thank you. That's crazy. I was not expecting that at all today. Like us, Brock. Anyway, so isn't it interesting? Do you guys see all the crowds on demand out there? Not many of them.
It's amazing how they get all these signs in 4 different locations, the exact same signs.
It is really nifty.
Within hours.
Yes,
It's
it
amazing.
does. And then when we watch Nate Friedman go in, the guy who just takes his little microphone and his cell phone, and he's like, hey, are you part of the group that's received $20 million in dark, dubious money from Neville Singham, right? The billionaire yuckmeister. Why don't you want to talk about that? Why are you paying your main guy $75,000 or whatever? It's a total scummy scenario. Protesting, huh? Brock, what are you gonna say?
I wasn't sure if you saw the people who were. I don't know who did it. He's like, so do you think Maduro should be president here? You know, oh yeah. If he's here to bring him as president.
Yeah, I want him. You're the biggest ass. And what a fool. What fools. What fools. This is what we get. So we have a minute and a half to go. I'm just delighted that you guys are here. We have CB Distillery making a return, 25% off. I'm going to talk about them probably in the next.
I got to do something. You want to talk about them now?
Sure, I can. CB Distillery, you guys, this is my company. These are the folks that come up with the greatest way for you to stay calm and stay relaxed. Gummies that have CBD products in them. They're delicious, and they hit you like this, and you're like, I got this. How about for pain, discomfort after exercise? There's a CBD product from CB Distillery for that. Wonderful products, safe formula, no fillers, no garbage, just pure. And I think they even have a new thing for me to say, 25% off. Use my name, Wendy, cbdistillery.com. What if your only resolution this year was to get better sleep? What if it was to get more energy than you have, to handle stress better, right? How much of your weight loss goals could be handled if you weren't always stressed out? cbdistillery.com, 25% off right now. Promo code Wendy. This is the company that can help you. I use their products every day. pain relief primarily. They're great. I think you'll love them. I've been with them for several years now. They've been with me. How you doing?
Thank you. I really like it.
I love the sounds. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, the sound of freedom. You know, when you live in a country where by and large you can say what you want to say, where you can go where you want to go, you can do what you want to do, you can dream, you can earn, you can change, you can innovate, you can have as many children as you want. You can worship as you please, right? When you live in a country like that, it's almost unfathomable to lose even one iota of the freedom that I know that you and I all take for granted. I do every single day. I have traveled to other places. I have been to South America. I have seen what it's like. And I remember coming home and dropping to the ground and kissing the ground at LAX, which is a filthy place, right? Literally kissing the ground. Thank God we're Americans. I want you to hear the sound of people who haven't lived with liberty, who haven't lived with freedom, who've been punished, who've been imprisoned, who have family members, friends who have been murdered, who have lived under dictatorial rule for the better part of 30 years. Learn as the sun rose on Saturday. Liberty exists. The streets packed with celebrations and cheers and honking. Just for a minute, close your eyes and imagine. Absolutely breathtaking. How about running through the streets? How about the men? The men taking off their shirts, screaming and crying and praising God. And Tio, Uncle Donald Trump, listen to this man lose his mind in joy.
¡Somos libres! ¡Gracias, Dios! ¡Viva Venezuela, mi madre! ¡Vecinos, piénsense que somos libres! Mi gente libre, libre. Agarraron a Maduro, se fueron ya. ¡Qué felicidad, Dios! ¡Gracias!
Libre, libre, we are free. You don't even have to speak the language to understand the sound of freedom. How about these men literally reduced to tears, turning their phones on themselves and, oh my.
Oye, el dictador cayó. Finalmente. Estamos libres, estamos libres. Viva Venezuela libre. Gracias, Dios. Gracias. Oye, el dictador cayó finalmente. Granadito, hermano, esto es real. Estamos libres. Mira, mira cómo está la gente. ¡Viva Venezuela libre! Gracias a Dios, esto es para todos los que aguantaron, se logró.
You know, it sounds ridiculous to even create this as an idea. But if Donald Trump had not won in 2024, if you had not shown up, if you had decided to phone it in, if you had stayed home, if you hadn't stood up and fought back, how far off of Venezuela would we be? How far away from complete and utter dictatorial control would we be? How close? Think about it. The people of Venezuela voted. They voted for the true leaders of their country. Maduro would not let go. Well, what happened to us in 2020? And then you start connecting the dots. Such parallels. And now we know, of course, that Venezuela's fingerprints are all over the machines that were somehow oddly used in our elections. It didn't happen before 2020, ladies and gentlemen. It was a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic. Stay home. Was that an opportunity or was that purposeful? Scary thought, purposeful. Do you really believe that they would launch a virus on the world in order to force Americans to stay home so they could flood with bogus ballots, flood our cities with that? Hell yeah, I believe that. And now as we're learning that Tim Walz in Minnesota has decided, you know what, it's probably too much of a distraction. I'm not going to run for governor here in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a distraction. It's pure evil, crime, corruption, greed, control. And you stopped it. These Venezuelans are saying thank you to God. They should be saying thank you to the American voter. Thank you to you. This woman's name is Mirana Atencio. She's a Venezuelan journalist. And she says Maduro's capture is a change for the Venezuelan people who fled the country. It's an invitation for them to come back to the homeland and live freely.
This is not blood for oil, and this is not about regime change. We voted these people out legitimately last year. We voted for Maria Corina Machado and her running mate Edmundo González Urrutia, and Nicolás Maduro stole the election, didn't have proof for it, so he's essentially a dictator. For 25 years, he has been torturing, imprisoning people, leading to the largest refugee crisis practically in the world, definitely in our hemisphere. 8 million Venezuelans have left, which has provoked refugee crisis and immigration crises all over the Americas, including in the United States. This provoked a humanitarian crisis where in a country with so many barrels of oil, you didn't even have medicine or food. And if I may, I know it firsthand because I lost my father during that humanitarian crisis because of the lack of medicine. So this is a catastrophe that is happening, a 2.5-hour flight from Miami in our hemisphere, continuous human rights abuses.
And do not believe all of the people on the left who have no freaking idea what they're talking about, whether it be the white college-educated women, right? The scourge of society, the triggered and the toxic. I thought it was very intriguing to hear our friend Oscar Blue walking along the border with Venezuela, saying to all of the people out there hiding behind their keyboards, turning their cameras on themselves, pretending as though this is the egregious act of a deranged president, i.e. Trump. Really? Have you ever gone through the Darien Gap, he says? Because the people of Venezuela had to get into Mexico to come into the United States. And he told you on this very program years ago what happens and what one sees on that journey. Listen.
A lot of these liberals, leftist Marxists in the United States of America, they talk about socialism and they talk about communism. And a lot of these Democrats sitting down in the U.S. office, me as a Mexican, I can tell you, all these white privileged liberals, they have never lived in a third world class country. They have never lived what we have lived. They have never experienced narco-terrorism, dismembered bodies, decapitated heads, extortion, kidnappings, missing women and missing people, extraction of organs. They have never experienced what is a dictator in a regime transforming out of socialism. And in your political language, it is all the fault of the sanctions and the embargo. All of that, that's what you use. But you don't come over here to the main place and try to cross that border. I don't see you doing that. I'm walking right now on the border of Simón Bolívar, where millions of migrants from Venezuela on an exile and on an exodus, they left their country because of necessity, because of the regime, and because of the dictator, Nicolás Maduro, Diosdado Cabello, and Padrino López. Because of those three, they control the fractions of Cartel de los Soles, Tren de Aragua, and all the regimes. They have basically destroyed the peace of the Venezuelan people. All of you that you pandered to the narco regime of Nicolás Maduro, you have never walked the Darien Gap and suffered the consequences as the Venezuelan people have.
And isn't it so interesting that we heard Kamala Harris, the border czar, talking about root causes? We need to open our borders. It's the right and just thing to do. Humanitarian. It is good. Bring the people here. Really? She never walked that walk. I'll never forget Oscar Blue telling us about the first time he went into that jungle. I'll never forget him describing the mud and the bodies frozen like statues in the mud, which sucked them in like quicksand, and that is where they died. He told us about the bodies along the side of the road, organs cut from them. Within hours in New York City, there were protesters chanting about freeing Maduro now. Donald Trump has sufficiently, exquisitely, and surgically exposed the derangement of the left. Anything that he does, they will champion the opposite, even if it means celebrating and defending a tyrant. This woman, Venezuelan influencer, I think it's a woman, sets the record straight about the U.S. news coverage of Maduro's capture because, this is a gentleman. He says there is a serious inaccuracy about your American coverage of what just happened in my homeland.
This is a message for my American friends watching the news today in English. There is a serious inaccuracy in the coverage. Venezuela is not undergoing a regime change. Venezuela already has a democratically elected president, Edmundo González. He is the president. Nicolás Maduro is not the president. He never was. He stole the last election and led a criminal organization linked to terrorism and drug trafficking, El Cartel de los Soles. And today, thanks to the vision and courage of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the decisive leadership of the President Donald Trump, and the actions of Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the United States has finally recognized a fundamental truth. Protecting our hemisphere from terrorism, drug cartels, and authoritarian ideologies is a matter of national security for the United States.
Amen. Amen. Now, the capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, it has not sucked out all of the news out of America. Minnesota is still a dumpster fire. Tim Walz says he's not running for re-election, but he's not blaming himself, of course. He's not blaming fraud. He's blaming Nick Shirley. You can't make it up. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. You've got to love the Venezuelan people. And then you're going to hear later on in the program, people are going to come out and be like, I don't like Donald Trump. I like what Donald Trump did. And it's like, really? What? Then maybe, just maybe, this is your smelling salt moment. This is maybe that moment that you realize that you've been co-opted and controlled by a narrative of suck that was bullcrap from the very beginning. And if you think about the parallels between Maduro, he's not the actual president. Was Joe Biden the actual president? No. No. And when the big lie comes out and Mike Lindell is vindicated and Rudy Giuliani is vindicated and Sidney Powell is vindicated, we'll still have work to get out of the garbage that 4 years of Barack Obama 3.0 did to us. I want to tell you about Dr. Simkovich, Dr. Charles Simkovich. You know, if you have a concussion, you go to your PCP. What does your PCP know about traumatic brain injury? Probably not a lot. Their goal is probably to push you off to a specialist. Where? Who? Who is that person? How do they fix you? How do you fix a damaged brain? What if I told you you can do it without surgery, without blood, without needles, without downtime? What if I told you that there's somebody who could put his hands in your mouth and move around your soft palate and adjust you by pulling maybe on your ear and pushing you this way and doing this over the course of 3 or 4 days and legitimately fix your broken brain because he can? I've watched it happen. And it doesn't just matter if it is a concussion or a traumatic brain injury. If you suffer from chronic headaches, or now if you have essential tremor and you can't stop, call 412-366-3700. I've seen it. 412-366-3700. Simkovich, Concussion Institute.com. Come to Pittsburgh. Give yourself 4 days and be healed. That's serious. 412-366-3700. I don't lie to you. Brock, how's it going, babe?
Good.
What's happening over on the stream? We got 7,000 now. All right. We're inching our way. Yeah,
We're 2.9 already. That's
holy cow, in the first hour.
yeah.
Well, you guys front loaded us hardcore. I love it. Thank you. How about you guys on the stream? What's going on? You guys all discombobulated? Hi, Hoodoo. Hi, Hoodoo. What's up, Pod Racer? Hi, Lloyd. Good morning. Big Bad John. What was the company's name that did the in-depth blood testing? That's bodybyaim360.com. Bodybyaim360.com.
Here we go.
Segment in our second hour here at WendyBellRadio.com. We're going to go into the ideas of this administration, of the warriors who did what needed to be done on Saturday. This is the press conference. I think one of the best press conferences I've ever heard from any administration. It was fantastic. They said that they were ready to go 4 days before they actually went in to pull out Maduro and bring him to the United States as a fugitive of American justice. 4 days earlier. Can you imagine, though? They said that weather kind of fouled things up a little bit. They had to wait for some weather to clear before they had this op. Those 4 days gave Nick Shirley's exposure of Minnesota fraud, of the Somalian scams and other schemes, of the taxpayer browbeating and bending over and taking it from an absolute lunatic goofball governor who really is kind of just a limp-wristed zero, right? That never would have gotten the exposure and the fire it would have gotten. Thank goodness. So Tim Walz comes out earlier this morning about 9 o'clock. He's like, yeah, I've decided I'm not going to run for governor again. No, duh. This is where the sacrificial lamb of the left is going to slither off into the darkness, hopefully get his New York Times bestselling book deal, right? Because everybody's going to be hot to read that novel. He comes out over the weekend and he calls citizen journalist Nick Shirley a delusional conspiracy theorist. I don't know about you guys, but doesn't blowing an $18 billion budget surplus and coming up with a budget deficit in the billions, doesn't that make everybody kind of go, does me? Let's read the story, Breitbart.com. Minnesota governor and failed Democrat vice presidential candidate Tim Walz accused citizen journalist Nick Shirley, who has exposed alleged widespread human services fraud in his state, of being a delusional conspiracy theorist. This is where the reindeer games of the left's feelings and words cannot be beaten down by the facts, the hardcore facts of truth. My opponents have been celebrating this far-right YouTuber as a groundbreaking journalist, Walz wrote in an X post on Sunday. Here he reveals who he really is, a delusional conspiracy theorist. Ladies and gentlemen, they called. the proud men and women on January 6th who went to go listen to the President Trump, his final address of his presidency, speak to the world at the Ellipse. They painted those people who then were corralled to the U.S. Capitol building that day and who were caught up in an absolute setup, right? Because the left was so desperate that you and I were going to make too much of a ruckus about Joe Biden clearly not winning 81 million votes, right? They called those people, those patriots who were wearing red, white, and blue, insurrectionist. They called them rioters. They called them freaking cop killers, ladies and gentlemen. So a message to Tim Walz as he slithers out into the ash heap of disgrace. How dare you? How dare you? Your words don't land anymore, sir. The labels on the left, all of the names you want to call those of us who love America first, it ain't gonna work. This is what he wrote. My opponents have been celebrating this far-right YouTuber as a groundbreaking journalist. Here he reveals who he really is, a delusional conspiracy theorist. Governor Walz, shame on you. You knew damn well that the Somalians in your community were fleecing the Minnesota taxpayers. You knew that they were getting rich offering services that nobody ever came to check on. And now, as it so happens, did you guys see Craigslist ads looking for child actors to create the staged illusion that the daycare centers that nobody has seen a single child walk in or out of in months to create the illusion that they're hustling with business? We're on to you, sir. You were this close to becoming the vice president of the United States of America. And look at you now with a deranged, toxic, liberal daughter, right? As you yanked out your son on the campaign stage, we see you exactly for who you are. America is better than this, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, of course, with a long history of trolling his critics and keeping himself front and center in news cycles with conspiracy reposts, right? Decided to put some things out there today. In his response to Walz, Nick Shirley asked, right? Why was Melissa Hortman killed after speaking out against illegal migrants? Was she a threat to you and your fraudster schemes? Oh my. Things are going to get real before they get cleaned up. And if Minnesota is any indication, the folks there are getting taxed yet again. Paid leave, that's going to cost you a cool $1 billion. Increase in property tax, another $1 billion more. Until, of course, you've had enough. And rise up and push back. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's listen to the president. Let's listen to Marco Rubio. Listen to the Secretary of War. And be proud to be an American. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
So the rumor that's circling on Twitter,
yes,
X, is that he cut a deal with Amy Klobuchar to run for governor. She relinquishes her seat and appoints him.
Wait a minute. She relinquishes
her Senate
seat.
And then she gets to pick as governor who replaces her for the rest of her term.
Huh.
I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that. I don't think how do you get away with that?
I think that Amy Klobuchar would be tarred and feathered. Tarred and freaking feathered.
Yeah.
How many times can you stick your thumb in the eye of people? I don't know. BodybyAim360.com. We just got a guy who was talking about that online. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, asking about this extensive blood work. BodybyAim360.com is something unusual in that there is the most extensive blood panel. You're going to get 65 biomarkers and all these hormones tested. And that tells the story of why you can't lose weight. Why over a certain age does what you used to do back in your 30s and even your 40s not work for you anymore, right? I went through menopause. I put on 5 to 7 pounds. I'm like, 5 to 7 pounds on somebody my size is a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I didn't do anything. What do I do now? Dr. Dubiak gives you the keys to the fix. Brock did his program, lost 70 pounds. Brock is doing it again, wants to lose another 20, right? And then there, of course, is the genetic testing, which is, this is the crazy stuff where you don't even have to go into Dr. Dubiak's office. You don't have to make a trip here. You don't have to get an appointment. You don't have to worry about parking. You just go to bodybyAim360.com and you find this. It's called AIM Print, and it's a DNA kit that allows you to do a mouth swab, a minute swabbing on this side, a minute swabbing on this side. Put your little thing in a test tube and out it goes. 3 weeks later, you get the most extensive workup on who you are, your propensity to be obese, to develop alcoholism, even to have issues down the road, including Alzheimer's, cancer risk, all these things. Boom, like this. BodybyAim360.com. That's how you get it. What? Just say it's crazy. Crazy. I was all upside down too today on taking my blood flow. I'm going to use the bathroom real fast, Brock. I'll be right back, and then I'm going to talk about that.
Things are going to get interesting. We have something coming up at the bottom of the next hour that I think you're going to find interesting. We talked about it yesterday about, how this is drugs going into narco-terrorism, but I think it's more than that. A lot of people seem to think it's more than that it's a global shift of getting China and Russia and Iran out of the Western Hemisphere. They have no need to be here. And, to get them out of this hemisphere and to put them in a bind is, I believe, America first. That's what I believe, because you're taking our security and putting that first and foremost. Yeah, we want prices down, and they are going down. I saw 305 in the city today for gas prices. So telling me that prices aren't going down, I think you're lying. Maybe you haven't seen it in your area yet, but in my area, it's definitely changed. But he's putting the squeeze on a lot of countries out there, and watch them sit there and say, "Oh, Trump's rat bad," blah 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 blah. And meanwhile, going, "Holy, look what he just did," and we didn't even know about it right under our nose. So I want to see him get everyone out of the Western Hemisphere. You take care of your crap over there. Just my opinion. All right, can I go?
Yes, are you dying?
Yeah, I don't know if I have time.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Go. Yes, you have time.
Thanks.
I was going to burst, so yes. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Thank you. Look at all of this money that you've thrown at us. Look at all this love that you have given to us. Thank you. Hey, if you are in Pennsylvania, specifically my slice of the land before time, remember Ireland Contracting, okay? 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. The weather isn't great for most things home exterior right now, but construction work continues. Ireland Contracting can still put on new siding for you, brand new, beautiful, changes your world. Ireland Contracting, weather permitting, can absolutely put on a beautiful new roof for you. They're an Owens Corning Platinum preferred dealer. That's big, top 1% of roofers in the country. Ireland Contracting is one of that. Don't forget whole house, new windows, or anything electrical you need done. IrelandContracting.com. I think you're going to love them. They tell the truth. They're straight shooters. They do great work. And the owners of the company, Gary and Diane, are friends of ours. These are upstanding people. Love them. Love them. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I'm going to save my blood flow for the next one. Look at you go. You probably just hurt your leg.
I ran.
I know you did. It's amazing. You're like, woo. Need this.
I got to get my bathroom timing down now.
Oh, I know. It's so weird. This clock is totally ruining me.
I mean, typically I'm home watching the news. Starting to work on the next day already.
Oh, Jesus. Shut up. Really?
I don't want to get too excited, but 312 in an hour?
I know, right? So are we boosted at all?
We were an editor's pick, not the big box, but we were an editor's
Thanks,
pick.
Rumble. Right? 7,400 on Rumble right now and almost 1,000 on Axe. That's great.
We're still a editor's pick, so
I'm delighted. Hey, if you're new, welcome. Follow us. We're trying to get to 100,000. You guys, we're close to 7 million podcast downloads. 7 million. That's crazy. That's because of you. You people did that. I love this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been captured and flown out of the country.
Maduro, who I've met, is a dictator, plain and simple. The Venezuelan people need our support to recover their democracy and rebuild their country. We should be leading the international effort to confront the massive humanitarian crisis in Venezuela.
The Biden administration made a deal with Maduro. No one talks about this. He made a deal with Maduro. Here was the deal. Maduro asked that his nephews, convicted drug traffickers, be released from U.S. prisons. He asked that his chief money launderer, his money man, his bag man, be released from U.S. custody before he stood trial. In exchange, he promised to hold free and fair elections. He got the nephews back, the drug dealers. He got the bag man back, and he never did the free and fair elections. They stole the elections. They suckered Joe Biden. They're not going to sucker Donald Trump. That's a fact, not a joke.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Hey, if you've not yet gotten our podcast, I just tell you this. You know, you got to bounce, you got life to lead, and you have to leave the program. Well, if you have the podcast downloaded onto your device, you don't miss a moment. And we are so close to 7 million individuals with our podcast on their phones. That's nuts. Wendy Bell Radio, wherever you get your favorite listening material. I'm seeing this, a Fox News breaking alert. Apparently, this is what it says. Nicolas Maduro is reportedly stunned by how many rights America grants even the worst criminals, including himself. He never even conjured the notion that he gets an attorney. He could apply for bail. He can stay silent. The right that none of the material he said outside counsel has to come in at all. He has been read his rights, and the concept of bail, he said, I am unaware of those rights. We are witnessing history, capturing a dictator alive and moving him through our own justice system flawlessly. Monumental machinations here, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about it. It wasn't that long ago that you saw the Democrats out there, right? You got your hippies out there of the yesteryear. Now your greatest generation, right? The older folks coming out and protesting. No kings! No kings! Trump is an oligarch. He's a tyrant. Well, you know what a tyrant doesn't do? A tyrant doesn't go into another country and neutralize a dictator and bring him home alive with his wife and offer him the chance to sing like a bird. Trump does. And that's the scariest part for the left. Oh, crap. At least if he'd been killed, All of the secrets could have possibly died with him. But President Trump is a deal maker. And he offered this President Maduro, offered him multiple off-ramps before Saturday morning happened. I want you to hear, this is the first thing I heard Saturday morning when I woke up, turned on the television, and this is what President Trump was saying. He was on with Fox and Friends. You could tell he was exhausted. He was up all night. And this is what he said about being at Mar-a-Lago and watching all of this happen live. Go.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real military people that there's no other country on earth that can do such a maneuver. If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It was an amazing thing, an amazing job that these people did. Nobody else could have done anything like it.
Nobody else could have done anything like it. It was swift, it was violent, and it was over. Think about this. This is now count them, 2. Trump and the U.S. military now responsible for 2 amazing feats of military prowess. Of course, doing what couldn't be done, neutralizing Iran's nuclear anything and everything. Here's Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. And, as an observer, sitting back and watching the men standing behind President Trump, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Dan Kane, all of this, they're almost out of central casting. They are neat. They are organized. They are driven. They are smart. They are knowledgeable. What a difference from what we've experienced on the left. Here's Pete X. He said this, what happened in the middle of the night proves the American military is the greatest and most lethal force in the world. Listen.
Words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back.
Strong message to the United States military, a stronger message to the adversaries who don't understand. It is a new day. It is a new day. This is President Trump back on with Fox. He was saying, he was asked about personally giving Maduro off-ramps. You've got to go. You've got to leave. This has to end. Listen.
Well, basically, I said you have to give up. You have to surrender. And he was close. But in the end, I really didn't. We had to do something that was really much more surgical, much more powerful. This was much more powerful than anything we could have done. This is amazing. And we learned a lot going into. We learned a lot of things, but this was a very important symbol. And I had discussions. I actually spoke to him myself, but I said, you have to give up. You have to surrender.
When did you speak to him?
He was not willing. A week ago. A couple of times, but a week ago.
I talked to him a week ago. I told him this has got to end. Look, it wasn't a huge surprise. You shut down the airspace over the country and you encourage people. You probably don't want to fly over there right now. You put in all of these boats, all of these vessels, right? A literal armada in the ocean waiting outside Maduro's doorstep. What do you think was going to happen? But did you hear what the president said? We learned a lot. We learned a lot of things. Oh my. Here's Marco Rubio echoing the president's commentary. He was given multiple options, Maduro was. Ultimate ways to get off of this road. He didn't listen to us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know.
And he carves the media out of it. He puts everything on Truth Social, his own media empire, after they squeezed him and silenced him and shut him down on X in 2021. In 30 seconds, the Secretary of War drops the biggest bomb of all.
As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
And here's Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, on Congress not being notified. This is the best. Listen.
Did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved in it.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, We had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
So literally, if you are waking up or you are a Democrat in this country right now, what side? What side are you on? You're the side of mutiny, of treason, of sedition, or the side of action, of find out? The choice is clear. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, why Maduro's capture now has Russia in a panic. Oh, yeah. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right. So one of the weirdest parts about this whole schedule change is when I take my blood flow 7. So I bump it back. I take it usually every day at 6 a.m., but now I'm taking it every day at 9 a.m., right? Because of our schedule change. I want to tell you what this does for me. And when they first got in touch with me at Juvenon, and they're like, we love your interaction with your audience. And you seem very authentic. Would you try this product? And I was like, sure. What does it do? And they're like, well, it improves your blood flow, which seems like such an arbitrary thing. Like, oh, it's good for your cells. You're like, how? How am I going to know I'm not being ripped off? They're like, well, just try it for a couple of days and see what you think. And I was like, All right. I didn't really think much of it. So I took it one day, took it the next day, and I went to go work out. And I will tell you, the woman I work out with, who's a 64-year-old badass, was like, what's up with you today? You're not stopping. You're like super strong. You're not slowing down. You're not huffing and puffing. You don't need to walk around. You're not, what happened to you? And I'm like, blood flows heaven. What? Yes. 100% you will notice it. You will feel it. It makes a total difference. Beyond that, not only do you not have that mid-afternoon, like where you hit the wall and you're like, I just want to go take a nap. It doesn't happen anymore. You're like full steam ahead. Everything, you're like an Energizer bunny. Nothing is beyond your ability. I'm going to tell you that. That's truly the way it is. And then at night, you're like, and you sleep like a boulder. Just going to say 2 formulas. Blood Flow 7 is what I'm taking right now at Juvenon, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Brock is taking the Alpha Gold male version of it. Pop up and show them. Do you have it in front of you? The Alpha Gold male, which is specific to the men out there, specific to you men. It is all about male performance, male stamina, all the good stuff inside of you, the testosterone, et cetera, go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's not expensive. You could do the bundle. You can get Blood Flow and Alpha Gold, and it's a great savings. It's less than $1 a day. Oh my gosh, will totally change how you function, specifically over the age of 50. You're going to be like, yes, yes, and yes.
I have 2 of those.
Yes. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. This election stuff is all coming out now, Brock. All the stuff that got said.
Who out there's getting excited?
Let's go. Let us go.
I want to hear him sing like a canary.
I cannot wait. Let's have it. Starving for it. Like the things.
At this point, offer him anything he wants.
Right? And it's still the white libs, the older folks who just, these are the ones who cannot,
hands off Venezuela,
who cannot fathom that there was election interference. Are you an idiot?
Well,
are you an idiot? Like even basic modicums of common sense. Clearly, everything wasn't brainwashed from you, was it? I don't know.
It is. This past weekend shows completely what TDS looks like. When you sit there and talk about, because they yelled about the Gazan people, they yell about the humanitarian stuff. And then you go to Venezuela, you have them dancing in the streets, taking
People
care
screaming.
of that. And you have the liberals going, get your hands off of Venezuela.
Doesn't make sense. Makes total sense. Doesn't make sense. Right? Doesn't make sense. So you have to love, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You have to love in one surgical strike in which not an American is killed. Nicolas Maduro and his wife are not murdered. They are captured. And then Nicolas Maduro is paraded with DEA agents in New York. Did you notice how all of the camera angles were selected? They knew exactly the path they were going to take. They had live cameras on every building looking down. Did you see what they did? They put Mickey Mouse ears on Nicolas Maduro and walked him shackled, handcuffed, shuffling very slowly with DEA agents all around him. Joint mission, Department of Justice, Department of War, with clear inside help from Caracas, right? And now what do you have? Not only did President Trump in that one motion free Venezuela, open the door to unknown possibility, saving the country. He put Iran, China, and Russia on notice and has the deep state scrambling. What does he know about 2020? What's coming out about the big lie? What's going to be exposed? Well, let's focus for a minute on Russia. I want you to hear this person, their social media influencer, a frontline reporter in Ukraine. Their Twitter handle is Kalin Reports. And this gentleman says, with great historical accuracy, why Maduro's capture now has Russia in a total panic.
Russia has been losing its mind all weekend. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Telegram channels, and state TV have all been going crazy about what's happening in Venezuela. And Russian state TV have been running constant monologues about violations of international law, while the producers behind the scenes are Googling what that means. And obviously, Russian calling this a violation of sovereignty is like a burglar calling the police and saying his crowbar has been stolen. And this outrage isn't because they care about Venezuela, it's because it hits Putin directly. And to understand why, we have to go back to 2018. In 2018, Nicolas Maduro lost the election, and basically all international governments refused to accept it. But Moscow did. And this showed a pivot when Putin decided Venezuela is worth propping up at a real cost. Because Putin doesn't back losers unless he's buying something. And from that moment on, Russia deepened its support in 4 main ways: money, security, weapons, and political projection. Let's start with money and oil. Rosneft, which is a state oil giant in Russia, poured $9 billion into Venezuela over a 9-year period. And they did it through years of loans. And that money, it wasn't charity, it was leverage. Those loans were very often repaid in oil. And that ties Venezuela's production directly to Russian interests. And that gave Russia access to crude flows even under sanctions pressure. Venezuela already had Russian military equipment, but after 2018, that increased dramatically. Advanced air defense systems like the S-300 started appearing all across Venezuela. Training, maintenance, and Russian personnel became part of that ecosystem. Wagner started showing up in Caracas. And all this matters because military and air defense isn't just symbolic, it's regime survival infrastructure. But this is a pattern, and it fits what we've seen in Syria, Africa, and other parts of the world where Russia has been meddling. You don't send PMCs to win hearts and minds, you send them to keep regimes upright. And some would argue this is the most important point: money. After 2018, a huge amount of the central bank's gold reserves were moved to Moscow. And this is the moment that Russia became one of Maduro's last financial lifelines. But this is also 101 what Russia does. They look for dictatorships, states that are isolated, like the Assad regime. They back them up, they prop them up, they give them everything they want, and they use them as political leverage. And what Russia was doing with Venezuela was giving them an anchor in the Western Hemisphere. And that anchor is now gone. So again, Russia was using Venezuela as one of its strongholds, exactly like the Assad regime and exactly like Iran. But the third and most symbolic reason for Russia having a foothold in that region was a propaganda trophy. So Putin is starting 2026 with a disaster. Last year, Assad fallen. This year, he loses Venezuela. And it looks like things are destabilizing in Iran. And if Iran falls, that's basically the bingo card for Russia's isolation. And again, losing Syria wasn't just losing a friend. It was also losing the Tartus, the last warm sea port that the Russian fleet could use to access places like the Mediterranean. So again, for Putin, this is a nightmare sequence. The Middle East slipping, Latin America slipping, partners unstable, basically what imperial overreach looks like when money runs out. And looking forward at 2026, Russia is fighting a grinding war in this country. Burning reserves, losing influence, dictators they backed are falling, cash pipelines are closing, oil refineries are being hit, the shadow fleet is being hit. And the myth that Putin sells, that Russia is unstoppable, inevitable, and everywhere, is cracking. And nothing scares the Kremlin more than precedent, because if Maduro can fall, others can fall too.
And Trump has given all of these players off-ramps. He has said, let's make a deal. Let's stop the killing. Can we just have people stop dying? Ukraine, end the war with Russia. We will help you rebuild. We will rebuild your infrastructure. We will get you back into what you are, the breadbasket of the world. Hey, Russia, knock it off. We'll make it worth your while as well. And now they're realizing, has that window closed? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Maduro, apparently the only illegal alien Democrats don't want here in America. Next. We'll see. I mean, yes, there's so much of the political, geopolitical stuff, but I'm most interested in all of the narratives of the left about the dictator, about the king, about the oligarch, about the tyrant, about the Nazi, the fascist. Right? About the pedophile. Called him a pedophile. Called him a rapist. Called him a racist and an Islamophobe. Called him a gay hater. Like, what's left? What's left? And all of these things have been demonstrably debunked. Okay. Stop wasting our time. Shut up and sit down. Now you've got to nuke the filibuster. Get it done. Yeah, I'll hold my breath on that, John Thune. Dirtbag. All right. TheHealthyFat.com. So I know a lot of people who are interested in losing significant weight. A lot of people who are not interested in the long-term unknown effects of these various weight loss medications, right? So when you can get something that you can get over the counter that has been proven to lose, for people to take and lose dozens of pounds, literally scores of pounds, 70 pounds. What? Are you interested? Because I am. And what if the guy who created it is a cardiothoracic surgeon? He's a pediatric heart transplant specialist. I'm kind of impressed. And what if he is living proof that you can lose 50, 70, 100 pounds by simply changing how you eat a little bit and drinking this instead of taking one meal a day? It's called MCT Wellness. It's Dr. Gundry, Dr. Stephen Gundry's offering. This has been around for a while. And if you go to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy, you're going to see a video. The video is so educational. Like, you're going to get super free advice about what's going on inside of your body that you had no idea about. Whether or not you buy this. I tell you, I drink it every single day. This, right? This is the watermelon lemonade because I drank all the blueberry. It is delicious. It is refreshing. It is just the slightest bit tart and sweet. It satisfies you, fills you up for like 5 hours, so you're not going to eat. And oh, by the way, you can lose a lot of weight drinking it. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. That's how you get it. And like I said, watch the video and prepare to be amazed. A lot of things you're like, I didn't know that about blueberries. 100%. I like him. He's a great guy. They say, I don't think anybody has done more heart transplantations among children than Dr. Gundry. Like,
really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like the Mac. He's written all these books. He's been the head of this hospital. He's done this. He started this I don't know how he does it.
So we both have seen the list of senators that are apparently on Venezuela's payroll, but I've not seen it anywhere other than X and this one person putting it out and other people sharing that. And I couldn't find it anywhere else. So there are some names on there that just didn't jive. Dave McCormick being one of them. He hasn't even been in the Senate. So I don't know, to sit there and say that, yeah, this is hard evidence. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
Could we all see that there are dozens of people currently in office right now who are working in concert with, I mean, what? Maduro or others? Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're dirty, but there's a difference between knowing you're dirty and then putting stuff like that out there. That
yeah, I can't.
Maybe someone digs in. I mean, I don't even know where you. That's a pretty big dig. Because you have to figure out what the name of the money source is. And I think it's all going to come out. You know. I think that's the exciting part because we're way past the drip, drip, drip stage. You know what's throwing me off? And it shouldn't. It's the 1:30. So
the timing is
in my
peculiar.
mind, it's 10:30 right now.
Very odd. We're at the halfway mark already. You guys
It's
are
flying.
amazing,
It
it really is. Hold on, let me step outside and get a suntan.
You might get it today. We're at 41
Oh my God,
degrees.
it's so hot. Oh, look at that little color on my cheeks. Thanks. There's just been so much to enjoy, to watch, and so much to pay attention to here. For instance, John Brennan, I wasn't thinking that he would ever be able to say anything even remotely beneficial about the military or Trump. There's a Trump-hating Venezuelan. Brock had his editing thumbs ready today. There's a lot of F-bombs and swear words and a lot of this stuff coming out from the Venezuelan people who are like, boop, 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 and you're like, ah. So thank you. Oh, my heavens. That's not true. I'll give you carpal tunnel.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're slowed on the rumbles. Still good, though.
Where are we?
341.
Ooh. So we need 590 people to hit the thumbs up button underneath the video box. That's your rumble. And then if you can, which is even more important, it's the follow button. It costs you nothing. We just notify you when
3 hours of your day.
We notify you when we're live, and that's 6 or 7 times a week. Program. So I'm looking at my headlines right now, and this is one at thegatewaypundit.com. Hegseth cuts Mark Kelly's military retirement pay after he urged service members to defy Trump's orders. What? Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth Monday censured Democrat Senator Mark Kelly and cut his military retirement pay over his seditious video urging service members to defy President Trump's orders. I mean, think about the timing of that. It was November 18th when they dropped those videos. Alyssa Slotkin, right? Mark Kelly and others putting out that video urging active military, you don't have to follow the orders of somebody that you believe is giving you illegal directives. That is so dangerous. That came out at the time our U.S. military was putting the final machinations on this strike against Maduro. Do you think it was coordinated? Do you think it's coincidence? In November, without offering any specifics, Senators Alyssa Slotkin, Mark Kelly, along with Democrats Maggie Goodlander, Jason Crow, Chris Deluzio, and Chrissy Houlihan, repeatedly stated you can refuse illegal orders or you must refuse illegal orders. Exactly what were they encouraging the military to stop? Really? So your pay, Senator Kelly, apparently cut. Hegseth announced he's moving to demote Kelly and cut his military pension. He stopped short of a court-martial, and this was the full statement from Pete Hegseth. 6 weeks ago, Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other members of Congress released a reckless and seditious video that was clearly intended to undermine good order and military discipline. As a retired Navy captain who's still receiving a military pension, Captain Kelly knows he is still accountable to military justice, and the Department of War and the American people expect justice. Therefore, in response to Senator Kelly's seditious statements and his pattern of reckless misconduct, the Department of War is taking administrative action against Captain Mark E. Kelly, U.S. Navy retired. The department has initiated retirement grade determination proceedings under 10 U.S. Code 1370, with reduction in his retired grade resulting in a corresponding reduction in retired pay. FO. Well, let's remind everybody that what Maduro did to cheat and to stay in power is sort of like what the Democrats did here under Joe Biden, if we're going to be very serious about it. And that's exactly what happened. Let's flash back to Senator Chris Murphy back in 2024, saying an illegitimate Maduro remaining in power causes a bit of a crisis at our border. See, this is exactly what Democrats did to this country in November of 2020. Listen.
So over the past decade, Nicolas Maduro, the brutal dictator of Venezuela, has presided over a stunning collapse of the Venezuelan economy that has caused nearly 8 million Venezuelans to leave that country, most of which destined for the United States. Part of the reason why we saw 10,000 people showing up at the border every day last year, a number that the United States just can't handle with current resources because of the meltdown of the Venezuelan economy. And so it's no surprise that in the election that was held this week, Maduro clearly lost. The briefings that I've received today suggest that Maduro not only lost, he probably lost in a landslide and is attempting as we speak to steal the election. If he's successful, not only will Venezuela continue to spiral into political and economic chaos, but you will see more people come to the southern border. Maduro is now in a corner. We're working with our allies and our partners in the region to try to force him to accept the results of this election.
We want to have our allies in the region help with us and make Maduro accept that he's really not the president. What a wuss. Senator, you are such a willow. You are a Tim Walz style wuss. That was when the Democrats were still in control. This was before President Trump obviously won. Oh, we know he's a threat. We know he's a danger. We know he's a dictator. We know he cheated. We know he's not real. But we really aren't going to go in and do anything about it because we need our friends to help us out. That's what you get under Democrats. Well, Tim Kaine on Fox yesterday with Jackie Heinrich. So she says, well, it's so funny. Why didn't you guys bring in Maduro? Because you put a $25 million bounty on his head. What was that for? Listen.
I think a lot of Republicans would dispute the notion that this was an invasion at all. But moreover, if Democrats cared so much about process, why didn't they do anything to bring Maduro to justice when they were in charge? I mean, the guy's been under indictment since 2020.
There have been sanctions placed against Venezuela, and I'll admit the sanctions have not been as effective as they might have been. And you know why, Jackie? Because many other nations wouldn't join us in the sanctions, even though they've joined us in sanctions against other nations. And why wouldn't they? They didn't like the president, President Trump, in his first term threatening military action against Venezuela. And that caused them to back off support for sanctions. So sanctions and going into international forums and trade restrictions and embargoes and seizing vessels that are pursuant to sanction with a court order, these are things that can work. It's a lot better if you have your allies with us. What we've done now is push our allies away, and we've opened up.
Yes, it's the allies' fault, don't you know? Because there's nothing that a Democrat could possibly say that they fudged up. Not the embargoes, it's not sanctions. We can't pretty please our way or pinky swear our way into Caracas and to remove Maduro. They never wanted to. They never wanted to. Give me a break. There's a $25 million bounty on the guy's head under the Biden regime, and nobody even thinks about it. They're like, well, I'm sure it's fine. So Jackie Heinrich continues. She's like, so wait a minute, you're blaming the allies in the region for not joining with a weak, tepid, loser Biden administration with Kamala, root causes, borders are Harris? Shocking.
The point I'm getting to is, don't you think that America's adversaries take note when all Democrats can muster is a joint statement or a press conference or some sanctions that are, loose, and take advantage of that? And that's why the administration feels
Jackie,
positioned to do this now?
If you think it's right for a president just on his own say-so, willy-nilly to wage war against anybody, I guess that's an opinion. But why haven't Republicans brought forth a military authorization? Why are they ducking votes
Would you vote for
on
that?
whether this is a wise strategy? I'd vote against it. I think another war, Virginia, which is a very pro-military state, and I'm the father of a Marine, Virginians are tired of endless wars, and we don't want to engage in military action that's unnecessary.
That wasn't necessary military action there, Senator, right? Why are all of these former and failed vice presidential candidates, these losers, right? These are the people first to come out to the microphone and tell you what President Trump and the Department of War did wrong. Willy-nilly waged war. There was no willy-nilly about this any more than there was willy-nilly about taking out Iran's nuclear capacity. Senator, and you know better, you spineless amoeba. You schlub. You hack. We needed help from our allies, and now Trump waged war. There was no war. There are no boots in the ground. There's the entire Navy on the water, though. Everybody is waiting to go in. Peace through strength. FAFO, Tim. Now listen to this. Here's a Trump-hating, self-described Venezuelan who calls out the left and says, you know what? Sit down. President Trump was right on this one. Ooh,
I am Trump's #1 hater. I am also Venezuelan. And let me tell you, for all of you that are commenting on social media, oh my God, no war, we didn't sign for this. Oh my God, poor people, they must be so terrified. Let me tell you, every single Venezuelan that is not working for the government, the dictatorship that has been in place for more than 25 years, we are stoked. We are happy. Even the people that are currently still in Venezuela, everyone's happy about this. So can you please just educate yourself and stop spreading this bull narrative that, oh my God, poor people, like they must be so scared. No, we're not scared. We've been waiting for this. But sometimes you battle the devil with a bigger devil. So let him do what he needs to do, and then we can go back to on him, okay?
And we can go back and crap all over him. Of course, we will remind you that the Biden-Harris administration made available a $25 million reward for information that would have led to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. But of course, we wouldn't have possibly gone in and did it. Our military would have been too worried about what fingernail polish they were wearing under Joe Biden. Am I gonna offend you if I call you she instead of he? Oh no! Please sit down. Listen to John Brennan. Again, not on my bingo card. Former CIA guy, right, head of it, right? Sitting down with Jen Psaki, she's like, what do you think about this outrageous offensive against Maduro and Venezuela? Listen to what he says. Oh, my.
What did you make of the events of the last 24 hours here?
Well, Jen, I thought you did a very good job teeing this up. First of all, again, the U.S. military and U.S. intelligence are second to none in terms of their capabilities, their competence, talent, as well as their courageous actions. And so it does look as though it was a flawlessly executed operation, at least according to what we hear from the administration so far. And a lot of planning went into that. But that was, I won't say it's the easy part, because it was a sort of a complex operation. But this happened less than 24 hours ago. Now the big question is, what is the impact of that action? I think there are a lot of people in Venezuela and outside who are celebrating the departure of Maduro. As you pointed out, he was an illegitimately installed leader, a dictator of Venezuela. He was involved in drug running for a number of years. He's been involved in a lot of, criminal activity. And so, yes, it's good that he is no longer in charge. But the big question is, what is going to happen now after this?
What is going to happen now after this? Well, we'll have to see. I can tell you what happened this morning was that the UN Security Council was not too pleased. Interesting headline, Gateway Pundit. It says this. Trump UN Ambassador Mike Waltz torches the UN Security Council to their faces as the globalists melt down over the capture of socialist tyrant Maduro. United States Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz tore into the UN Security Council Monday after that global establishment erupted in outraged denunciation over the decisive U.S. military operation that captured socialist tyrant Nicolas Maduro and brought him to New York to face federal narco-terrorism charges. Really? And then the second line, you want to hear this? The UN Security Council is headed by Somalia's permanent representative to the UN. Oh, interesting. Huh. We don't want any gravy train to end, period. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, a woman in a bathrobe isn't usually my idea of a social media influencer, but this woman nails it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Wow. You guys, you're just playing all your cards the wrong way. The emergency UN Security Council meeting was called after Maduro's dramatic weekend capture. Okay, it was formally requested by Colombia, a non-permanent council member, really, for next year, and aggressively backed by Russia and China. That's so shocking. Why would they be upset? Right? Very interesting times. They said the United States allegedly violated international law and state sovereignty. Okay. Well, Russia invaded Ukraine, so I'm not so sure we should be talking to them right now. Anywho, let me tell you guys about who do I want to talk about? Who do I love? I love Dr. Rafferty. You know? Anytime that you can avoid surgery is a good time. Anytime that there's an alternative to somebody cutting into your body and possibly entering all of these various infections, you have problems that arise commonly in surgery. And quite frankly, your recourse as an injured person, it's hard. It's hard. It's years of litigation, of paying for it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why just cut all that out and just call the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh and say, my disc in my back or my neck is herniated, it's bulging, it's degenerating, it's deteriorating, it's killing me, it's stealing me of my joy, and I need help. Ask for help, right? 412-906-9600. Because Dr. Rafferty, he's got to be near 20,000 people he's fixed. And it's a non-surgical procedure that takes time. It's like 8 to 10 weeks of therapy, but people come to Pittsburgh and they stay here in a short-term rental for 2 months. That's how serious they are about fixing their back without surgery. Intradisc nutrosis, non-surgical, 98% successful. And their website tells you so much. You can read about all these reviews. 5 years after, it's still 96% successful. 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Phenomenal success rate. What are you sending me there?
Tim Walls' whole statement.
Oh.
Big conspiracy.
What a weirdo.
The gay Elmer Fudd.
He is just a weirdo. I don't know. I like manly men. You can be you can be a little effeminate about some things, but if you're just like a high kick wacko, I'm like, I don't know. You're just a giant wuss. A lot of swearing on X. You got a lot of people out there who are either Venezuelan or connected to the country. They fled. They have family members who did, who are overjoyed and super annoyed at the people who know nothing, who quickly go to Twitter to talk about how bad Donald Trump is. It's like, put a sock in it. And then there are those who can clearly see the implications and are starting to wake up on their own. This woman in her bathrobe, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to grab her. I asked Brock, I'm like, she swears like 4 times. Can you bleep it out? He's like, yes, I can. She says, look, whatever you think about this president, he does what he says he's going to do. He does it quickly. He does it stealthily. He does it surgically. He's the GOAT. Listen.
Y'all, Trump did not start a war. He enforced the warrant. This man dropped bombs at 2 a.m. He captured the president and his wife at 3 a.m. He had a press conference at Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. and he was running Venezuela by 12 p.m. That's what you call a boss, baby. Y'all can say what y'all want, but Donald Trump is really him. If that man do not go down as the greatest president of all times, then something is wrong. That man has officially been in office this month a year, and what he has done in the last year is way more than all of the presidents have done all together. Do you hear me? That man has been standing on business, and he is putting America in a position where we is getting our respect back, and nobody is going to play with us. Now, let me just say this. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I am going to admit it. A lot of stuff that Donald Trump do initially, I do not agree with it. Okay, his decisions make me nervous as hell. But once I sit back, take a deep breath, and I trust the process, and I trust my president like I should, I promise y'all everything always turns out for the best. Venezuela is happy. American is happy. Some people feel like it's for the oil, but as long as the people is happy and the people are good, a win is a win, y'all. That man got so many W's under his belt right now, under this one presidency. He him.
She calls him my president. I have to trust in the process. I have to trust in my president. Is this like the great unifying? Is this black and white coming together as one fabric and realizing it ain't about all the exterior garbage that doesn't matter? It's about America. America first. Yes. Here's a gentleman. He goes by he's a black man. He goes by America Papa Bear. I love what he does. He's always spot on. Again, lots of bleeps for Brock, but worth the price of admission.
All right, so here we are 3 damn days into the new year, and y'all are already bitching like it's a full-time job. I thought half of y'all said y'all was moving to Canada or Russia or wherever the pack faster. Funny thing though, the actual Venezuelan people, the ones who lived under Maduro's boot, a whole lot of them are celebrating. But you, sitting on your couch eating your DoorDash, are pissed off. Of course you are. Last week, y'all was mad at Nick Shirley for helping expose corruption that you should have been screaming about for years. This week, you're mad about an administration that doesn't even govern you and was just uprooted. You just rotate outrage like it's a subscription service. Let's get something straight before the misinformation crowd starts foaming. Maduro has been formally indicted by the United States for narco-terrorism and drug trafficking. That's public record. Senior Venezuelan officials tied directly to cocaine trafficking. Also public record. This is not conspiracy. It's court filings. And this fake-ass constitutional outrage, Barack Obama authorized a drone strike that killed a U.S. citizen. Without a trial, without charges, without Congress voting on it. That's documented fact. So if Obama can vaporize a U.S. citizen, Trump can capture a foreign national already under indictment. Pick a standard, or admit you don't have one. You weren't screaming war crimes in. You weren't crying about democracy. You just suddenly found morals when the wrong name signed the order. And the irony, some folks talking about hypocrisy in foreign policy have no issue with sketchy local politicians taking bribes, inflation crushing everyday life, or statewide corruption going unpunished, but suddenly have thoughts about international military ops. Come on. Put that same energy towards your own local officials taking bribes. Judges letting tax evaders walk, city councils misallocating funds, state leaders screwing up schools and infrastructure. But no, we'd rather debate cartoons online. Some of y'all act like every country is supposed to be a good guy, except the one the U.S. just blew up in the middle of a real military operation. The U.S. just crossed borders with military force, whether you support it or not. Stop the whine. Get some facts. Pick a lane.
Pack faster, he says. All right, so as we transition into hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, Minnesota still is a total dumpster fire, and things have gotten worse there. Now, I want to read you, because just a few hours ago, Tim Walz officially dropped out. Now, he couldn't possibly drop out and say, you know what, you caught us. You caught us. We're terrible leaders. We are easily bribed and blackmailed. I've known about the fleecing of Minnesota for years and didn't do anything, either because I'm too much of a willow or because I'm getting paid. He didn't say that. This is what he said. This is a partial statement. He said, I won't mince words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and St. Paul and online want to make our streets, or make our state rather, a colder, meaner place. Listen to the feelings. No facts, always feelings. We've got Republicans here in the legislature playing hide and seek with whistleblowers. We've got conspiracy theorist right-wing YouTubers breaking into daycare centers and demanding access to our children. Well, they don't exist there, sir, and there was no breaking. But nice try. We've got the President of the United States, Tim Walz says, demonizing our Somali neighbors and wrongly confiscating child care funding that Minnesotans rely on. Wow. That takes a pair. That sounds like a guy. And Brock Huppin, so the theory right now on X is, what about who takes over ostensibly for Tim Walz?
That Amy Klobuchar will run for governor and apparently win, and then she will get to pick the senator because she'll have to relinquish her seat.
Somebody will have to fill out the remainder of her term, and she will put in
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz. Does anybody out there believe that? Or do you believe that would be an absolute punch in the face? I wouldn't put it past Democrats. When we come back, Minnesota's dumpster fire getting worse. I got the details next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's always about some bullcrap feelings. They want to make our streets colder. and meaner. No. And it's like, dude, you're ripping everybody off. Shut the F up. Sit down. Sit down. You corrupt, disgusting slob. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. It pisses me off. I hate bad people. I hate bad people who lie for a living. I hate Congress. I hate it all. I hate government. Clean it up. Clean sweep. Get rid of them. What else does he say? I cannot abide the actions of the political leadership in Washington, these opportunists who are willing to hurt our people to score a few cheap points. They and their allies have no intention of helping us solve the problem. You're such a turd. We can't solve the problem ourselves. We need our allies to help us, said Tim Kaine. No different than this slob. Well,
they got to get new talking points.
Yeah,
that should be their mission for 2026. New talking points.
We got to figure it out some way. Let me tell you about Texas Bullion Exchange. Wendy loves gold.com, and don't I ever. Look, Texas Bullion Exchange, there are a lot of gold companies out there, and it can almost sound like a scam, right? I approach this with very stiff suspicions. When Texas Bullion reached out to me, they're like, hey, we love your conservatism. We love that you're a mom. We love that you approach the world through the lens of a mom. And we're family people too. We're trying to do right by the American people. And so we're in precious metals. But we like to educate people about what happened with gold and what happened with the gold standard and all of this, and why the value of the dollar is in the basement, why gold has always been this safe, solid bet and a hedge against inflation. And so I listened to them one day for an hour and I was gobsmacked. I'm like, I know nothing about any of this, but I guess I'm going to buy some gold and silver from you. So I told Joe, I'm like, well, we've kind of squirreled some money away for some landscaping. We weren't ready to do it. I'm like, I'm going to buy some gold and silver from Texas Bullion Exchange. He's like, okay. So I did. I went through the whole process. I did it all on the phone, talked to them personally, and they chose all these beautiful things. And the UPS guy literally, here's your gold and silver. It's in a brown box, right? Doesn't look like anything. You signed for it, and there you go. And then what do you have? You got the value of gold and silver going up like this. Right? Is it going to come down again? Sure. Cyclically, this always happens. But holy moly, what a time with all of the AI stuff, with all of the batteries and all this stuff for precious metals. Silver is huge. 855-927-5557. That's our number to Texas Bullion Exchange. 855-927-5557. I love these people. I trust these people. And then what I did after my first experience, we squirreled money away again, and I did it again. And I just said to Joe, he said to me the other night, maybe we should get more. What? WendyLovesGold.com. WendyLovesGold.com. What else is going on in the world there, Brock? Anything good? Oh, we've got Sniper. I used Sniper like there was nobody's business this weekend. Did you guys do it? Did you guys use any Sniper? Did you use any disinfectwithsniper.com? Look, I'm going to tell you, if there is one product in the world that will clean everything that you have, that will do it safely and not put your pets, your animals, or rather your children or grandchildren in any danger, disinfectwithsniper.com. Hospital grade antibacterial. Spray it on a countertop. You don't even have to wipe it off. It continues to work. Put it in your bathroom. Spray anything that's got high traffic, fingerprints, your car, door handles. I clean everything. Disinfectwithsniper.com. And you can get it sent to you. I mean, it's hard to ship liquid. Like, who wants to pay for that? Oh, not you, because you don't. No shipping. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Free shipping. All free. This is it. This is it. And by the way, so I did this the other night too. We made something with onion. And I had onion hands. I love the smell of onion. Garlic, onion, bring it. Dip me in it. I'm all about it, right? Sometimes you don't necessarily want it on your fingertips. Literally, open the cupboard. Pew, pew. Gone. Gone. I'm like, disinfect with Sniper, SNIPER.com. You're welcome. It will change your life. You have a smelly surface, something in your house that reeks, you can't get the odor to go away. There's a sister product. It's called Knockout. It's amazing. On the same website. Everything on that website we use. Everything but one thing.
What?
Was it like...
You haven't used Mouse Magic.
I have not used Mouse Magic. I don't have mice.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Right.
Everybody has mice. Everybody has mice that I've seen. Chipmunk. Yeah, I slept with a dead one. Thank you for that.
Twitter or X
yes,
is saying CNN's website traffic dropped 30%, 36% year over year in November. At the same time, X keeps hitting new all-time highs. This is the new media.
This is the new media, right?
You people have lied long enough.
You've found enough voices, and when you see the knives go out, when you hear Nick Shirley tell Patrick Bet David that his little sister is getting harassing phone calls, how do they even have her number? What the flip? What are we doing?
Dan Bongino says, thanks for your interest in the show and its return date. We will have something for you soon.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for Dan Bongino. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. I'm sure it's been hard.
$368, staying steady at 7,400.
Let's go. 1430 on X. Look, I'm going to tell you what, I am quite pleased with this turnout here and with a solid presence. Thank you for being here. Like, it matters to us. Thank you. So great. So great. So we'll see. This first week will be peculiar, I think, for us, for our families, for you, for your schedule, how you get your shtick, right? But thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Can we talk just for a moment about Ilhan Omar? Can we talk for a moment about the face of fraud? The most ungrateful thief among us? This entitled twit of a woman with her native headdress or whatever the hell that thing's called? Who arguably, if we actually looked, if somebody out there with influence, and it's not me, we could prove one way or another if she's even an American citizen. Because I would argue with you that not only is Ilhan Omar eyeballs deep into the Minnesota fraud scum that has defrauded the Minnesota taxpayer to the tune of, I don't know, could be as high as $20 billion. And if it's $20 billion, you know damn well it's $50 billion. Not only is she eyeballs deep into it, she's the first one to come out and try to finger wag you for asking questions. Who the hell are you? It does not make me a racist to say, Ilhan, go back to Somalia. all of the money that goes back to your native Somalia to pay for what exactly? The thieving, the robbing, the fleecing of the good people of Minnesota. You married your brother so that he could become a citizen, right? You held campaign celebrations at the Safari restaurant. It's a restaurant in Minneapolis, seats 35 people. It claimed to serve 18,000 meals a day, ladies and gentlemen, to hungry children during COVID. Oh my gosh, we need to serve them. Did anybody once say, are there even 18,000 children who need to be fed in Minneapolis? Because that's a big number. Well, the funny thing about that is, like, the children didn't exist. The meals didn't exist. The service didn't exist, but the money did, and it is gone. And it is just one piece of what could be tens upon tens of billions of dollars in Medicaid fraud just in Minnesota, the largest in American history. But you're a bad person. You're mean. You want to turn the streets cold, says Tim Walz, as he admits there's not a snowball's chance in hell he could limp through a governor's election. Dirtbag. Ilhan Omar, I cannot wait for you to be deported. So as we were all chewing over Nicolas Maduro, his capture and extradition back to the United States, one was not maybe paying attention as Liz Collin was, because she's on the ball. Alpha News reporter isolating this fun fact for you. Minneapolis Craigslist post, she tweets on X, in search of child actors for daycare site where funding was cruelly ripped away without cause. Okay, wait a minute. Let's just chew on this one statement for a minute. So they're looking for child actors to look as though they're being dropped off at this daycare center, many daycare centers, which have obviously not had any kids. They're not daycare centers. They're putting out ads to pay child actors to look as though they're being dropped off at these daycare centers to create the illusion that the daycare center exists to justify the raping of the Minnesota taxpayer to the tune of $20 billion, right? How does that make sense? And then the funding was cruelly ripped away without cause. Well, I'm going to say cause is you don't exist. And the cruelty is that y'all let it happen for so long, right? So she puts this out. This is what the ad says. Hi, all. My family runs daycare here in the city and have for over 5 years until Monday when funding was cruelly ripped away without cause. Due to this insane poor decision, clear in white supremacy. We had to close our doors immediately. We must prove we are a function daycare to get the funding back. They sound fantastic. The issue is the entire client base has already found new daycare service, so we need to find new client base quickly. To help hurry the state vetting processes, we are looking to hire 20 child actors for 3 days while state is present on site. Oops, that seems a little suspicious, doesn't it? Cruel, you white supremacy people. Well, Minnesota's new paid leave program is the next big fleecer. Have you guys heard about this? Well, why not? If you work for the state of Minnesota, why not get up to 20 weeks paid leave? Why? Maybe because your daughter is struggling with hyperactivity at school. No, you could not get paid leave for that. Oh, yeah, you could. Maybe if your neighbor or somebody, maybe your uncle in another state needs you to go take care of him and you're a state worker. Well, you could get up to 20 weeks paid leave. Ladies and gentlemen, the number is staggering. $7,600 a month Minnesotans can qualify for under this Tim Walz pushed plan. Here, let's listen to the news report, part 1.
Just 2 days into the year, and state lawmakers in Minnesota are already expressing concerns about a program that began just yesterday and the potential for fraud. It grants up to 20 weeks of paid leave to employees per year Correspondent Garrett Tenney has our update tonight from the Midwest Bureau.
The honor system is not the best way to distribute all this money.
Calling it potentially the next big source of fraud, Minnesota Republican lawmakers are criticizing the state's new paid leave program, warning that 2 days into the program, they are already getting whistleblower reports of people trying to scam it.
Because the law is so broad, you can drive a truck through a lot of these definitions and loopholes.
Under the new billion-dollar program, almost every resident is eligible to take up to 20 weeks of paid leave a year to take care of family or for medical reasons while still getting a percentage of their salary on the taxpayer's dime up to $1,420 a week.
Minnesotans can take the time they need to be there for life's most important moments.
You can designate one person annually as the person you care for. So I can designate my uncle living in Florida, go on vacation, and it's up to your employer to investigate whether you're really caring for that person or not. Like, that's just, there's no guardrails.
Minnesotans need to recognize not a single Republican is responsible for this program.
Governor Tim Walz defended his paid leave policy, pushed through the legislature by Democrats, arguing that despite all of the alleged fraud around government programs in Minnesota already being investigated, this law has adequate protections in place.
I am incredibly proud of this program. And the thing I keep hearing about people, aren't people going to abuse the program? How disrespectful to people to assume that all Minnesotans are scamming. I believe in Minnesotans. I believe they know. You're not going to get rich, and it's not your full salary. You're not going to scam and take time off.
As the federal investigations into Minnesota continue, today the Department of Health and Human Services announced it has already received more than 200 tips through its new hotline for Americans to report suspected fraud in childcare.
Whoever thought this family leave was a good idea? What terrible timing. And meantime, how is Minnesota going to pay for paid family or medical leave for state workers? Well, easy, just increase the taxes. I mean, the nickel and diming of the American taxpayer, right? Minnesotans are also going to have to pay an extra payroll tax to cover the paid leave scam. Listen in.
Eventually, payroll tax deductions will be the funding source for the paid leave program. In general, 0.88% of your salary will go to fund the program, and your employer has to pick up at least half of that, a little less for small employers. The benefits can be pretty big. Employers have to hold your job for you, even as you take up to 12 weeks each of medical leave or family leave, not more than 20 weeks total in a year. And the state will replace most of your salary, although that is capped at about $1,400 per week, the average for people in Minnesota.
So, Corn, what exactly will it mean? How do you qualify for family or medical leave?
Kelsey, medical leave is pretty straightforward. A medical provider tells the state you need time off for illness or injury, and then family leave, it actually takes a lot of forms. You can take leave to care for a sick family member, like I could be taking off right now for my daughter who tore her ACL and her meniscus about 10 days ago, and the state would pay me a portion of my salary. You can also take leave to support a family member who's called to active military duty. You can take safety leave if you or a family member is a victim of sexual assault, domestic violence, or stalking. And you can take bonding leave in the year after you have a child.
Oh my goodness. Are you out of, did you hear what he said? It takes a lot of forms if you're going to do the family leave. That's sort of like the Biden crime family syndicate and all of the 20 different shell companies and 9 family members, including Biden's grandkids. Well, if you sprinkle it out a lot, it becomes so much and nobody's really going to want to get involved and it'll just get paid. Any questions? Ew. They're the new California guys, Minnesota. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, so what is next? Is it the unraveling of the 2020 election and the fraud of it? Or is it nuking the filibuster? What do you think? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's truly a little mind-bending, right?
I could have swore I was being stalked.
You could have sworn you were being stalked.
Yeah,
why?
so I get fill out the paperwork.
Ah, well, if you feel unsafe, Brock, you have to do what you have to do. When you feel fat, You have to do what you have to do. Like this gentleman who lost 100 pounds of fat in 8 months. That's nuts.
Yeah, it is.
He looks great. What? You know what it is? It's good old-fashioned work. Losing weight, we can all just want to take a magic pill or believe that, well, if I put on more makeup, you won't see it. Sometimes you got to do the hard work. And if you have a lot of weight to lose, even if you just want to find your abdominal muscles again, right? It's super intimidating to go into a gym when you don't understand how to use the machines. You don't even know what you're doing. That's why Kelly Morgan at Morgane's Fitness, based here in Pennsylvania, started an online thing that you could do with her over the computer in 90 days, where you can begin this process. It's called 90 Ignite. Literally, it's basic. Kelly orders some testing for you. She looks at the results, creates a meal plan for you by identifying what things are going on in your body, and then creates a fitness regime for you. Now, you've got to stick to it. You've got to eat the food. You've got to do the work there, and you've got to show up at the gym, or you've got to do stuff at home. And you're doing stuff every day. But she says if you give her 90 days, she'll give you new hope. And some of the pictures that we've seen have been nothing short of amazing. Look at this woman. Look at top and bottom. Look at how you see the gathers of her shirt here because it's not being pulled against her. Look at that. Incredibly shrinking. 90 days. More Gains Fitness. MORGAINZ fitness.com. I'm telling you. That's it. You're going to see a big button. It says 90 Ignite. Click it. Click it or ticket. That's your bad boy. Holy moly.
We are only 220 rumbles away from 4K. That's.
Have we been hanging or did we drop? Not 70. We're hanging tight with you guys at about 7,400. And many thanks to everybody on X. You guys have been growing in leaps and bounds.
Almost 1550.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. How many comments do you have? I have a lot.
If I was to do the math in my head, we're over 8,000.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's going to be weird going home at 3.
Yeah. Yes, it will. It'll be odd.
I tried staying up too.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to watch the Steeler game.
I made it till 9:20.
Right?
That was good for me.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Apparently, Nicolas Maduro and his wife have officially entered their plea of not guilty. Not a big shocker there. Though it is interesting that he is surprised by the American system, by the process that you can claim to be not guilty, that you can have a representative, right? That you have all of these rights in the United States that he didn't allow the people in his country to have. You get them here in America. Well, we'll see what happens. Issue number one is keeping the man alive, right? The things that he knows, and I'm going to go even bigger. So if we can all agree that drug running, narco-terrorism is a deservedly so fine reason to go after Nicolas Maduro. It is a fine reason to blow up the terrorist boats in the water. And it is a reasonable predicate and one that we could all get behind, stopping the flow of drugs. But it is so much more than that. And I believe what is coming out is exactly what the binder that President Trump was getting ready to declassify and distribute to everybody before he left office on January 20th of 2021. The binder that they could not locate, that they raided Mar-a-Lago reportedly for, to get the real details on all of the lies about Russian collusion and about all of this and that, and the election of 2020, which was dubious from beginning to end, right? If we can argue that perhaps fiddling with our elections, stopping that, being just as important as stopping the flow of narcotics onto our shore. Now we're starting to peel back the reality of what's going on with this whole Maduro thing. So what comes next? What really is the information that President Trump wants? Does he want the drugs to stop? Absolutely. Does he want to make sure that no one else in the United States loses an election because of fraud? Absolutely. This has been the number one thing Trump has talked about since that date in November of 2020. You remember the name Sidney Powell, right? Whose attorney was she, Brock? Was she? I forget who she was. Was she Flynn? I forget whose attorney she was. But
I believe she was Flynn's.
She made explosive allegations and said she had the data to back it up. And what happened to Sidney Powell? She was tarred and feathered and basically excommunicated, became persona non grata by the left, just like Rudy Giuliani. She claimed that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from Donald Trump through vast coordinated fraud involving voting machines and foreign actors. But those claims, quote, were never substantiated in court. Why? No judge agreed to hear them. It wasn't that there wasn't evidence. It wasn't that the recall, the hand count in Arizona didn't yield results. It wasn't that all of the various states that saw something and said something and collected data and held hearings. It wasn't that they fell short. It was that the bribery and the blackmail apparatus was in full play. And people were afraid. Powell repeatedly alleged that Dominion voting systems and Smartmatic software were used to switch or flip millions of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden across the country. Pay close attention to your social media feeds, particularly if you're an X user, because this is all coming out again. The very steady drip turning into a flow of audio sound bites like the one that President Trump posted over the weekend. And it was very basic, and I'm going to bring it up now. He said this. Trump drops a post about Arizona's enormous 2020 election fraud scandal, where forensic evidence of 25,000 counterfeit ballots showed us 25,000 counterfeit ballots. This is just one state, one location. Imagine the entire country. And President Trump posted he retruthed 5 minutes of testimony proving election interference. This is what's next. Identifying it, exposing it all, period. That and nuking the filibuster. Moving forward and doing the only thing that can be done, and that is to execute President Trump's agenda for the next 3 years, hook, line, sinker. And that means never allowing Democrats to regain control of the House of Representatives. Because if they do, none of this comes out. None of this changes. None of this moves the needle. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to read something to you. It's one of the most powerful things I read today. Venezuelans deserve the taste of freedom. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. That was at sheer panic where I had the tickle in my back of my throat. And I'm like, oh, dear God.
I'm going to send you a text.
Because we know how well Brock jumps in when I'm about to die. Here comes a tear. Is it going to hurt my feelings? Oh.
No, it's.
Wow.
I'm able to follow different things at this time, and a lot more is coming out, you know?
Yeah, I love that you're sending this to me. Thank you. Oh.
Okay, we have an ask. 150. Let's go.
There's no reason we shouldn't get it. Excuse me. It's gone by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Has it gone by quickly for you guys? Right? I mean, I know you want it to linger as long as possible. Maybe not. How do you get, can I ask you a serious question?
Mm-hmm.
When you make my healthy fat drink every day,
Yes.
how much ice do you add to it?
A lot.
A lot. Do you take out the little toppy thing and put?
I do.
Okay.
Why, you didn't do that?
I didn't do that.
I put a lot of ice so it stays cold the whole show.
Yeah. I noticed that. Thank you. So what are you seeing on your end, Brock?
I'm seeing solid numbers. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think we were kind of going back and forth on what's.
Oh, wait.
What?
T Brooks 123 gave you $10. Just wondering what the new time change. Why the new time change?
You know what? I will say this. I don't get to see my husband enough. That's it. You know, his schedule by the time he was getting home, I was checking out stuff on my computer for the next day. And then I'd go to bed. And it was like ships passing in the night. And I'd be up early and out the door before he even got up. Brock, same story.
I haven't seen, this is the first time I've seen Kate in the morning where she wasn't going to end up going to bed while.
Yes. It would not be, I mean, Brock and I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning with the last show, with the last timing. I don't think that's healthy. You know, I don't think that's healthy. And quite frankly, I got my DNA stuff back from Dr. Dubiak.
It said to both of us.
And it said that, and it measures circadian rhythms and sleep and this and that. And it's like your body is craving morning sunlight. You're craving the opposite of what you're doing. We'd already decided. I told Brock in June, I'm like, I think it's time. You know, and to be perfectly honest with you, there was a long period that we didn't want to even come close to noon because it was Russia's spot.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't feel like, and
that was the initial decision.
I didn't really feel like I was going to jump out there and be some like trailblazer. I'm not saying here, I'm the new Rush Limbaugh. I'm going to take over Rush Limbaugh. There's an element of just basic respect. And it's sort of like what they do with police officer killings, right? They put that stripe across the badge. It's like there's a period of mourning. There's a period of, no, I'm not going there. So we slogged through 5 years of this time.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it. You get to a point where, in radio terms, where you get to a point where you hit a time slot, and if you're, I'm not talking about the big guys like the Glenn Becks and the Hannitys, where you move to the more coveted spot, and in talk radio, noon to 3 is coveted, and I don't know, from 9 to noon, I didn't think we were done growing. Like, I think the show could continuously grow and grow and grow, but I think this adds a different dimension for you guys on the stream and also on the radio. You know, it opens us up to different markets in the West Coast and maybe people who are just taking shows because they needed to fill time. And so why not? It's a calculated, everything's a risk, But it's at least calculated. We knew this 5 years ago that we weren't going to.
I had a conversation with a gentleman who owns a radio station in Maryland. And he and I talked yesterday on the phone. I called him because he was having some issues. And I was like, oh, let me set this straight. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's so great to hear from you. I'm grateful that you're calling. I'm like, I'm grateful that you take our show. And after we kind of worked out the ins and outs of what was wrong, he said, I want you to know that I've been in this business for 40 years and my dad before me, many years before that. And I just love your show. Now, for a man probably 20 years older than I am, mid 70s, to say to a woman, mid 50s, you're good at this and I really like listening to you is huge. Huge. We've seen a huge change in the number of men.
Take the man out of it. When you have someone who has been in this industry for that long, to hear a different voice and say, I want that on my radio station. That's the mark of winning.
Yeah. So
because it's easy just to do what you've always done.
But again, none of this is possible without you guys. Because if you want us on your local radio dial, get in touch with your station. Tell them how to find us.
Tell them to tune in at 2:35 now.
Wendy Bell radio program. Before we continue, I just wanted to note I filled up my car for $2.89 over the weekend, and I bought 6 strip steaks for under $80. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't done that in 5 years. Pay attention. Things are coming back. Life is going to become better, more affordable. As the woman in the bathrobe in the earlier segment said, sometimes I got to trust the process. Sometimes I got to trust my president. Yeah. And your president just tweeted this out. Minnesota's corrupt governor will possibly leave office before his term is up. What? But in any event, he will not be running again because he was caught red-handed along with Ilhan Omar and others of his Somali friends stealing tens of billions of taxpayer dollars, specifically names Ilhan Omar. I asked for this at the beginning of the show. I'm so hopeful he's got the goods. Trump truth is out. I feel certain of the facts, certain the facts will come out and they will reveal a seriously unscrupulous and rich group of slime balls. Governor Walz has destroyed the state of Minnesota, but others like Governor Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul have done, in my opinion, an even more dishonest and incompetent job. And then he writes, no one is above the law. He doesn't just do stuff 'cause. There's always a reason and a message behind the words, and he is putting the deep state on notice. This is such an extraordinary article. This is something that Brock shared with me over the weekend, and I sat down this morning and I read it. And I think it is perhaps one of the finest examples of where Venezuela is in this moment in world history, of American history. It's an article written by a Grammy and Emmy Award nominated rock and roll performer, a songwriter, a film composer. He's an award-winning author. I'm like, why is he writing about Venezuela? His name is Peter Himmelman. And he wrote this article called "The Outrage is Selective. The Reality is Venezuelan." And it is absolutely spectacular. This is how it goes. Let me begin by relating something that happened years ago during the reign of former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, whose authoritarian model Nicolas Maduro not only inherited, but deepened and further brutalized. Returning home from LAX, I struck up a conversation with a taxi driver. He told me that just 2 months earlier, he had been living in Caracas. My father began a very small but successful chain of shoe stores, he said. I asked him why he was now driving a cab. Well, the last of the 4 shoe stores were under my management after my father died. One day, 2 men came into my store. Each carried a suitcase. I was asked if I wanted to sell. I told them it was not for sale. One of the men replied, "That's okay. We don't have any money to purchase your store anyway." Each man then opened his suitcase, removed a handgun, and pointed it at my face. That's when I was asked to sign over the last of my father's stores to the government. It got worse, and this is the part that stays with me, this author writes. The man around my age at the time was now penniless. He'd come to the United States to work as a taxi driver. There's no medicine for my wife, he said. She's very sick. I have to buy antibiotics here and send them in a special way so that the government doesn't seize them. My children don't have food. I send them canned goods the same way. And the man began to cry. Well, let's start with something basic here. Nicolas Maduro is not merely an enemy of Donald Trump. He was indicted by the United States in 2020 on charges of narco-terrorism and massive corruption. Under the Biden administration, the U.S. maintained a $15 million reward for information leading to his arrest. A literal wanted poster, like something from an old Western or a comic book. No ambiguity there. And of course, nothing happened. Why? Because diplomacy, sanctions, and engagement repeatedly fail when aimed at criminal regimes and terror-aligned states. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, North Korea, they have long since stopped caring about legitimacy at all. Maduro has ruled Venezuela since 2013. Under his watch, one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America collapsed into economic ruin. Hyperinflation obliterated savings, food and medicine became scarce. Elections turned into theater. Political opponents were jailed or exiled. And the result? Between 7 and 8 million Venezuelans fled the country, one of the largest mass migrations in modern history, surpassed only by Syria. This is not an abstraction. These are families, just like yours and mine, walking across borders. Children growing up without grandparents, doctors driving taxis in Bogota, engineers washing dishes in Miami, entrepreneurs in Los Angeles, sending packages of food and medicine back home. Ask them whether Maduro is a complex figure deserving of procedural delicacy. Now consider the alliances. Iran operates freely in Venezuela. Hezbollah's long been had a presence there. Cuban security and intelligence personnel, right, have been embedded within the apparatus that guarded Maduro. Hamas-aligned voices publicly condemned Maduro's removal. Iran's foreign ministry strongly condemned the U.S. action, calling it a blatant violation of Venezuelan sovereignty and territorial integrity, and a breach of the United Nations Charter. This tells you almost everything you need to know. Criminal regimes recognize one another instinctively. And yet the loudest voices today are not Venezuelan mothers or exiles. As expected, they are Western activists suddenly discovering an intense concern for sovereignty, the very concept they abandon when the villains are less ideologically convenient. On Meet the Press, and again with George Stephanopoulos, Marco Rubio argued that should not be controversial, that Maduro's regime lacked legitimacy, and that accountability delayed for political comfort is still accountability denied. He did not celebrate violence. He did not argue for chaos. He argued that the world has grown accustomed to letting monsters age out of consequences. That is not triumphalism, right? It is not chest thumping. It is a statement of fact, one that millions of Venezuelans have lived with for more than a decade. And when you listen to Venezuelans themselves, the response is not hand-wringing or moral confusion. It is relief. Nobel Peace Prize winning Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado put it plainly. Venezuelans, the hour of freedom has arrived. She did not speak in the language of geopolitics, but of justice, saying that Nicolas Maduro faces international justice for the heinous crimes committed against Venezuelans and citizens of many other nations. And she framed the moment not as vengeance, but as restoration. We are going to bring order. We are going to free political prisoners, build an exceptional country, and bring our children back home. That matters. It is also worth noting that the exquisite irony now playing out in New York, Zoran Mamdani, who has flirted with the idea of arresting Benjamin Netanyahu, the elected leader of a Democratic ally defending itself against genocidal enemies, now finds himself rhetorically aligned with those objecting to the detention of a man whose rule produced famine, exile, and alliance with terror. Was this operation legally pristine? International law rarely is when dealing with regimes that have already turned the law into a weapon against their own people. The United States did not kidnap a poet or a dissident. It apprehended an indicted narco state leader whose government functioned as a criminal enterprise and provided safe haven to sworn enemies of the United States and its allies. The deeper question is this. What do you say to the people of Venezuela who are cheering? Do you tell them their joy is misplaced and naive, that their relief is morally suspect, that their suffering must wait for a more aesthetically pleasing form of justice, one that satisfies graduate seminars and NGO panels? Or do you admit something harder? Then in a world of bad options, this one moved reality a few inches closer to the moral access? Maduro's fall does not magically heal Venezuela. No serious person thinks that it does. Institutions take time, especially after more than a decade of fraudulent elections, kleptocracy, and government violence. Trust takes even longer. Selective outrage of the sort we've seen is not the luxury of those whose livelihoods were taken at gunpoint, of families forced to flee on foot, of people who did nothing wrong except refuse to surrender everything they had built. For millions of Venezuelans, this was not a violation of justice. It was the first glimpse of it. And Peter Himmelman has a Substack called Morning Musings, if you're interested. What a beautiful synopsis with perspective. How much of what I just said to you sounded so eerily reminiscent of the path that we were on that got accelerated during COVID? Tyrannical edicts, leaders, be it governors or mayors, local Gestapo knocking on the doors of the local restaurants demanding they shut down during COVID. How much seems so familiar to you? How about the whistleblower speaking up and raising flags of awareness to be labeled and exiled in their own way? The big lie spreaders. Oh boy. That's not going to age well for the left, will it? The deep state? Synonymous. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, final audio soundbite of the day might be the most impactful. Don't miss anything next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. How many of these people? I did. Okay. How many of these people who you see as your Uber driver or as somebody bussing dishes or sweeping up somewhere. How many of these people are extraordinary thinkers and entrepreneurs and business people who had to leave Venezuela because not enough people would rise up and push back against, well, we're like 15 years behind Venezuela. California is right there. They're on the cusp. I see so many of the parallels. Stolen elections, dictators staying in charge, unreasonable mandates, certainly to a degree that would make Americans howl here. But they snatched up honorable people on January 6th and demonized them and vilified them and wrongfully prosecuted them and threw them away and declared it victory. Never forget what they did to us. Just think, how many of you lost someone, whether it be because of COVID or they just died during that wacky year of shutdown? You weren't allowed to go see them in the hospital. You weren't allowed to go see them in the nursing home. You weren't allowed to comfort your mom. You weren't allowed to go hold your hand, your dad's hand. You weren't allowed to have family members and friends there at their funeral. You were just told to suck it up. It's the way it went. I don't think so. Libertad. Libertad. It's official. I hate most people. It doesn't sound very friendly, but you know what I mean.
All right, 30. Let's go.
Oh, my goodness, gravy. Are we still not there? All right, let's see here. How long is this soundbite? Okay, just a minute. Look at you guys, 7,000 strong. You're the hardcore. I'm profoundly grateful to you and to everybody who opened up their wallets and were so kind to us. That was so nice. My bank account number is teasing.
10. I'm leaving this up there until we get it.
The pin? What?
No,
Oh. I'll tell you when we get it. Please.
We're at least 9 away.
Oh my goodness, gravy. God, you people make me sweat it out. I have a headache right here thinking about it.
There we go. I can take it off.
Thank you. That's pretty awesome. Hey, not a bad first day.
No.
Not a bad first day, right? It's a little bit different, but we'll figure it out.
Brain's like, what? I missed you guys this morning.
I get it. I want to read this headline to you from the New York Post. It's cool to be, so we switched times, moved our show back 3 hours. So a lot of you are like, where are they? What happened? This being a new time slot, it's interesting to watch news come out at noon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon versus the morning hours. And this New York Post headline, toppled Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro declares himself a prisoner of war, claims he was kidnapped by U.S. forces as he pleads not guilty in New York City, I want to read you just part of this so we can all know where we are on the same page. Toppled Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, shackled at his feet and wearing orange prison garb, defiantly claimed that he had been kidnapped during his historic first appearance in Manhattan court Monday on narco-terrorism charges, and then declared himself a prisoner of war. Wow. Upon entering the courtroom, he said, "Happy New Year" in English to the audience before greeting his lawyers. He then almost immediately interrupted his court appearance with a proclamation of his innocence. "I'm the president of the Republic of Venezuela." Really? I'm not so sure about that. Because we have big questions, sir. Very big parallel questions going on between you and then Joe Biden's presidency. Because a lot of us don't believe that was ever factual, ever real, ever possible. We believe your country and you, in fact, had quite a bit to do with it. "I am the president of the Republic of Venezuela. I am here kidnapped. I was captured at my home in Caracas, Venezuela," the 63-year-old fallen despot proclaimed in Spanish before Judge Alvin Hellerstein stopped him. The judge shot back, "Let me interfere. There will be a time and a place to go into all of this. Your counsel will be able to make motions at this time. I just want to know one thing. Are you Nicolas Maduro Moros?" the judge asked. The ousted dictator replied, "I am Nicolas Maduro Moros." There you go. Let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. The machinations of justice now in motion. I want you to hear this, though. You know, every country on earth has a culture worth protecting. And this individual gentleman calls out specifically Ilhan Omar for saying that America is disgusting for being based on white culture. Interesting how this is a black man pushing back on Ilhan Omar's egregious statement. Listen.
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm getting real sick and tired of this little lady.
The idea that this is a white nation that needs to be preserved is a fascinatingly disgusting view, because this country is one for the many.
Let me tell you something. Nobody's saying America has to be one skin color, but every nation on earth has a culture worth protecting. Funny how preserving identity is beautiful everywhere else. Japan does it. Mexico does it. Even Somalia does it. But when America does it, it's disgusting. This ain't about no race. You snuck into this country and now you're trying to erase standards and history. America is an idea. And ideas only survive when people are brave enough to stand up and defend it. If every nation deserves an identity, then why is America the exception? We're not just going to let you come up in here and switch up the rules to benefit only your people. So listen up, America. I need you to listen good. We need to vote these people out of power. Because you see what they're starting to do. They're starting to talk mess. They think they're going to take over something. Because when a country isn't allowed to remember who it is, that means someone else will decide for it. And history shows that never ends peacefully.
I was trying to figure, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to unite black and white, poor and rich, and everyone in between? What's it going to take to break through every label, every moniker, every outward exterior facing descriptor of ourselves? What's it going to take for us to unite under the banner USA? Was it Maduro? Was it elections? Was it COVID? Was it the transgender lunacy? What was it? Was it the left not realizing they had gone too far and they pissed a lot of people off? I don't know. But I will leave you on this program with this. Inside the courtroom in Manhattan, there was a young man in the gallery behind Nicolas Maduro. Maduro later engaged in a verbal spat with a man in the gallery as the hearing wound down, clearly in Spanish. And the man, who identified himself as 33-year-old Pedro Rojas, stood up and heckled the ousted tyrant in Spanish, calling him an illegitimate president who will now face real justice. Maduro turned to face him and said, "I am a man of God," and called himself a prisoner of war as he was led out of the courtroom. Really? Huh. It seems like those desperate to control will continue with their desperation to the end. A man of God returning now to his prison cell to face the justice that President Trump says no one is above the law. To whom is he referring now? Well, let's find out tomorrow. Right back here, same time, same place, WendyBellRadio.com. Thanks for being here. I love you, America. Peace.